Welcome, everyone. I call this meeting to order. This is the special board meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Canandaigua Independent School District. Today is August 5, 2021. The time is 6:01 p.m. And Sonia, where are you, Sonia?
I'm hiding.
Oh, there you are. Sonia, would you please call?
Mr. Coronado,
Here.
Mr. Hernandez,
Mr. Hernandez called, he will be here present, but he's running late.
No, Mr. Hernandez will be here.
Oh, Mr.
Tristan.
Hernandez will not be
Tristan will not
here.
be here.
I thought you said Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Hernandez will not be here, he had medical issues.
yes, sir. Mrs. Mendoza,
Here.
Mr. Bayan,
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez.
And Mr. Rodriguez called, he will be joining us, he will be a little late.
Thank you, sir. Mrs. Searles
Here.
and Mrs. Trent.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us to the next agenda item.
Yes, sir. Item 1C, trustee ethical guidelines.
Dr. G.
Mr. Bernardo. He's lucky to get the quarterback back. I have two. The second one. What is two? Stewardship?
Equity and attitude.
Equity and attitude, 2.3.
All right.
What is 2.3?
2.3 is, I will encourage expressions of different opinions and listen with an open mind to others' ideas. All right, well, that's probably the first thing that any board or any governing body over either a kind of agency or even the private industry should, really take into account that you want to have people feel free to voice their opinions about and listen to others, I guess, opinions and ideas as well, concurrent with that. So it's obviously one of the goes without saying, right? Hard sometimes to close your mind off it before things start, but Dr. G?
No, I'm just reading it right there. And I guess given what we're dealing with now, with the increase of COVID, the Delta variants, the proposal, the record of a bond, you're gonna have different opinions. To mask, not to mask, vaccinate, not to max, vaccinate. 187 point middle school, no middle school. So it's really about taking collectively with an open mind in order to do what's right, not for me, but for we. What is right, because we all have an idea, but it's not about my idea, it's about our idea. So.
Very well put. Anybody else? Ms. Trout?
Let me move this a little bit closer. Definitely to encourage expressions and different opinions. All of us, we have different opinions and listen with an open mind. I do understand sometimes that we're not agreeing. We could be agree or disagree, but everyone owns their own opinion. Could be right for your point of view, could be wrong, could be good. But we need to listen back and try to not argue. If we come to all of us in a consensus, yes, definitely, we need to defend our point. Yes, definitely, but listen with respect and listen with the understood that all of us, if we could come to an agreement and a consensus, will be great. And your ideas could be the best ones. Your ideas could be the best for this situation that we're dealing with. Everything, like Dr. G says, COVID could be this new bond that is coming, but always for the best of the interests that we already know that we have in common, which is our kids. But try to listen as well the community with an open mind and try to listen what do they have to report, because them are the ones who's going to give us the ideas. So we need to listen and get those ideas and try to to assume that definitely they have a voice here. Like it or not, sometimes, like I said, we could be agree or we could be disagree, but always try to come to a consensus for a common good, which is our students. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Trump? All right, anybody else? Mr. Payan?
One of the key things that we need to do is when we walk in here, we check our personal opinions and their personal biases and prejudices and leave them at the door and walk in with an open mind, like it says. I think a lot of times we have our own preconceptions of everything and the way the world should be, and it's not always that way. People think differently and we have to accept.
Exactly. Exactly. Anybody else? Okay, thank you, everybody. I think we covered this operating procedure ethics pretty well. I like the way we've been doing it one at a time rather than doing 2,000 over at once and get tired of reading all this stuff sometimes.
Are we supposed to memorize these?
Yes,
I thought so.
Arnie has a great, Arnie, do your way to sec. UT is going to the sec.
Hold on a sec. So, an easy way to remember is I remember hold on a sec and 3 S's, 1 E and 2 C's. So we believe in stewardship, that we're going to be good stewards too for our money and our finances, stewardship. We're also going to be student centered. We make decisions best on what's good for kids. We also are a service organization. We believe in service to our community and to our employees. So those 3 S's, stewardship, service, and student centered. E is equity. We're not an A until every kid's an A. Every kid has the opportunity to reach their fullest potential. We are a district that believes in equity. And finally, character and our conduct. Our character we see in the conduct we do in the community, right? When I go out and I'm representing Canateo, I represent it with pride, and I want to bring honor and distinction to this district. Character and conduct. Hold on a sec. And that's the way I remember it. So anyway.
Thank you, Mark. Great acronym. Okay, all right, guys, that takes us to the next agenda item. Sonia.
Yes, sir, open forum. Any person wishing to address the board during the period reserved for public comment at a board meeting must sign up to be heard in accordance with district policy BED local. Each participant will be limited to 3 minutes to make comments to the board. The board is not permitted to discuss or act upon any issues that are not posted on the agenda for tonight's meeting. Board President, we have 5 speakers.
All right, Sonia, and all these speakers are familiar with our guidelines with respect to and regulations with respect to the open forum comments.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Our first speaker is Ms. Carmen Porras.
all right, Ms. Porras, welcome. Good afternoon. Yes, we can.
Here I am wanting to understand why I was not able to receive the $2,000 that was given because of the epidemic. Because I did work the epidemic. I was employed with the Canateo district for 38 years from August 1984 and had to retire for the health issues in April 15, 2021. I had an incident with one of my kids and did not report it. And now I might need surgery on my arm. I asked God to send me a sign if I needed to retire, and he did. I almost fell with one of my students trying to pick her up and sit her in a car seat. I decided to retire. I asked God to give me a sign, and he did. So I decided to retire before I would injure any of my students. So I did with 35 years of service that was counted, and I did not receive the $2,000, and I did work the epidemic with a high risk due to my diabetes and high blood pressure. Bear with me, I don't know much about my phone. Okay. I hope that you will take this into consideration for all the years that I've worked for this amazing district. I am proud to say that I have raised 2 graduates from Gano Dio and granddaughter who is now a medical doctor in Dallas. Thank you, and I hope I get your attention on this issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you could please let me know with Sonia, I left my information with her. But I did give 38 years with the district, and I was just lacking just weeks. And now I have an incident, I might have surgery on my arm, I have an appointment next week, which I'm not asking for any of that. What I'm asking is for the working that I did do for the pandemic, and I did work real hard.
All right, thank you, Ms.
very
Bonas,
much.
and thank you for your service to the district. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, next. So,
Yes, sir. Our next speaker is Luis Duran.
Ron, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Couple issues. I have 3 kids in the district. The one issue I'm going to address right now is the first grade at Garcia Elementary dual language program. For some reason, the dual language program teacher in kindergarten, Ms. Clary, was moved to another school without letting the parents know. So we show up to open house at Garcia and find out there's only 1 teacher in first grade, and they have 3 subs. They're not even permanent subs. So my student, my kid right now is actually being taught hopefully by a sub. So the lack of transparency, we were not aware of this. We show up open house and this is where we find out all of this. Why was Miss Berry moved? I don't know. The principal to the board, you guys. Another thing I read online on the district webpage, the water fountains were supposedly going to be shut off for the spout. And they're only gonna have that refuel station. That's not the case at Garcia. There's still a lack of it. Which is concerning, considering we were just notified today in first grade, a student tested positive and they quarantined the whole class. Another issue that was being tossed around was they were gonna make first graders dual language, or everybody who like change teachers, change classrooms, like high school or middle schooler. I don't think a first grader should be doing that. And then come to find out, 3 days into the school year, all the tests, 1 whole classroom is quarantined, they're at home. Hopefully that's the end of it, but I mean, I'm a realist, I doubt it. I'm pretty sure it'll happen again at another campus, another grade, another classroom. And I'm talking about first graders here, come on guys. What else? Things. Is there, I know you guys can't address this issue, but is there something prohibiting me out of my own money buying air purifiers for my kids' classrooms so they can have it in their classroom? I know, I mean, you can't answer that question, so I don't know why I'm asking, but I'm thinking about doing that, and I hope the principal is on my phone doesn't tell me no for whatever reason. I don't know why they would say no. That's a no cost to anybody. I'm buying it myself. I'll change the filters myself every 3 months. There's like done my research. I have them at my house. Maybe I'm being overprotective, overly cautious, but I want to do that for my kids' classroom first and 4th grade at Garcia. Middle schooler, I can't do that because I'd be buying like 5 purifiers because they change classes. First and 4th grade, they don't, they stay there. So I think I should hopefully be able to buy one for the safety of my kid, obviously. I have a nephew in there, cousin, niece, and the other kids in there will benefit too. Completely out of my pocket. I'll do that by myself. I'm not going to ask any parent to pitch in, anything like that. So I'm hoping the principal doesn't. And thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Duran.
Our next speaker is Raúl Torres.
Torres, welcome.
Hello, I'm a graduate of Garcia High School. I also have a child in the first grade. And the reason I'm here is because when we had parent teacher, meet the teacher day on it was last Friday, every question that I asked to the principals was referred to you guys. I did not receive one concrete answer to any of my concerns regarding the school. Once again, my child was also in Miss Clary's class. And when I asked why she was no longer going to be a first grade teacher, as was told, at first she said it was a personal decision, and then she said it was a school board decision, and then she just said that she could not answer that question. It was very devastating for my child, especially at that age, to have grown and bonded with that teacher, along with the rest of her classmates, and then the decision being made that she will no longer be the teacher. And then come to know, we have a substitute teacher. Okay, if the school, the teacher that was going to be there had an FMLA issue, why would there be a contingency plan to have somebody ready? When I asked the principal, what is being done about it? Bring it up to the school board. I cannot answer that question. Obviously, I'm not going to get the answer from you today, but I'm just bringing to attention that every issue that was brought in regarding COVID, where the playground was being sanitized, she didn't answer the question. Where the cafeteria tables being cleaned after every different lunch break, cannot answer that question. Where the water fountain is being turned on, I cannot answer. There was no answer given to me regarding that question. I pay taxes just like everybody else does, and I think I deserve the answers from the lady in charge of my child. You are not there with her every day of the week like she is. Her excuse was, I'm brand new to it. I wasn't here. That happened before. To me, that's just not a reasonable answer or an acceptable answer in that situation. Okay, I'm in the same situation as Sudan. I'm willing to provide water, closed, sealed water bottles to my class, if allowed to. I'm willing to pitch into my purifiers because we share the same classroom in first grade with our children. But this is transparency and push everything to you guys, knowing that you guys cannot give me answers. So what does that do to me? I'm just, it's like, I understand you guys are here hearing me, just like talking to a wall, because you're not going to answer my questions. And she referred everything to you guys. And why hire somebody to be turned to that building if she cannot provide answers to the parents? Our taxpayers pay her salary. I demand answers. The dual language program at this point to me is a joke. And we were told, if you take her out, you cannot put her back in again. So why provide a program if there's not going to be any guidelines and rules to follow? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Torres.
Thank you for your time.
Next.
Yes, sir. Miss Brianna Barnes?
Sure.
Good evening, board. How are you? I have a few questions that are coming from my grade level. They weren't able to come tonight, so I told them I would represent them. One of the questions is in regards to, and I'm hoping it's going to be discussed tonight with the COVID protocols, but I want to bring it up just in case. We're wondering about updates in regards to if students or teachers come up positive or come to close contact, what are going to be the requirements for those students, for those teachers, for those different scenarios? Whether or not they have vaccines, do not have vaccines, have had COVID in the past, have not had COVID in the past, just so that we know, because we are getting questions from parents in regards to things like this, and we don't really know yet. And so we've just kind of been saying, as soon as we find out, we will let you know. But as educators, we want to make sure our parents feel safe and that we have a plan in place. So I know those are things that are being discussed tonight, just some specifics that we want answers to. The second thing is in regards to the rapid testing that was offered last year at our campuses. There are some teachers who would really like for that to be put back into place, either at some campuses or all if possible, but just so that that is an option for those who do want to get those tests on a weekly basis. And then my last concern is actually from a parent. I have a parent who contacted me in regards to wanting to volunteer, but she is not able to volunteer because they are requiring the vaccination for our volunteers. And my question for her tonight, she's not able to be here, is how can we require that of our volunteers if we're not even requiring that, which we shouldn't for our employees? It just doesn't make much sense. If the employees are not being required to be vaccinated, why are our volunteers being required to be vaccinated? I think across the board, it's not up to us what people should be doing with their health. It should be up to them. This particular parent has been told by her doctor that she should not be vaccinated. So therefore, she can't have that involvement in her child's education and be at her school. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's reasonable. And I think that needs to be reconsidered. So that's it for me, just those 3 COVID things that I wanted to be addressed tonight. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, next, that's it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you, everybody, for your comments. And, some of the things that were brought up obviously are COVID related. That's why I had the agenda item put on today's meeting we're going to discuss a lot of those issues with respect to the safety. And so, and again, those people that think that that your voice is not being heard, it is. You're just not speaking to a wall. We have certain restrictions that we can't talk back with respect to some of these items because it would violate some of the issues that we have to abide by. And that is not properly posting items to be able to discuss if the public come in and weigh their opinions on. So, just bear with us, but we will get these issues that you have brought up in open forum to our staff. And if it's a board issue, we certainly can take it up at a future board meeting the proper way. So having said that, those are regulations that we have to abide by as a board and as a district, as an administration. So, but we still thank you. We want you to come in and open, your comments freely and don't think that it's being heard. So appreciate you. We want community participation. All right, with that, Sonia, next agenda.
Yes, sir. Item 3, Board of Trustee Business. 3A, discussion and recommendation regarding the safe opening of schools and safety protocols. Dr. Reyes and Dr. Fuentes.
Dr. Reyes, Dr. Fuentes, welcome.
Hi. If I may, I would like to have Coach Brooks come up as well. In the case that there's any protocols, we have worked on 3 particular 1-page handouts for parents and students, 1 for staff, and then 1 for the athletic coaches. So
Okay.
in case there's any questions, Coach Brooks is here. So, hello, good evening, everyone. And I know this is a hot topic right now, as we are now 100% in person and classrooms are full, hallways are full, cafeterias are full. I want to start with sadly, the reality of where we are right now in the El Paso region. As of last Thursday, our positivity rate is 10.23%. It has been slowly increasing. Today, as of today, our positivity rate is 12.45% with 145 new cases today. We currently have 74 people that are hospitalized, 29 that are in ICU, and currently 1,230 active cases. That might be El Paso region. Now, if you happen to look at the epstrong.org website, they have on the top of their main webpage the stages. When things are great and we don't have to worry about widespread through the community, we're at stage 4. As of last week, we were at a stage 3, and today we're at a stage 2. So by saying that, that's going to tell you that the community scorecard of stage 2 means that we are now beginning to increase our cases where we need to be on alert. At this point, the Department of Public Health has declared the infection rate and the testing at stage 2. Healthcare readiness is at a stage 3. And investigations, thankfully, is at a stage 4. So the health department is able to investigate and do the proper contact tracing throughout the region to be able to see where the highly transmissible areas in our El Paso region are. So I want to start with that data before we move on to what we just learned today. So I will put out the disclaimer that things are changing constantly. We work on documents and the next thing we know, an hour later, something else has changed. So these are truly live documents that we continue to tweak and revise as things evolve. And as you have now been told or informed, stage 3 last week, stage 2 this week. So things are changing. But I want to start with this afternoon, we did have a phone conference with the TEA commissioner as our superintendents are requested. It was usually on a weekly basis, and then it was on a need to call the conference. Well, we had one on call today, and now we understand why. There is public health guidance out effective today, August 5th, and the guidance addresses on-campus instruction. It addresses non-UIL extracurricular sports and activities, and then any other activities that students have to complete. It focuses on test confirmed cases, which I'm glad Ms. Barnes brought that up because that is something that has been in the public health guidance through CDC, Department of Public Health, and through TEA. So we address that. And at this point, we are continuing the same process we did last year with less students. If there is a lab confirmed person that has tested positive, we contact trace for that 6-foot bubble for more than 15 minutes in a 24-hour period. And those people will then be considered and identified as high risk exposure. Then we start peeling the onion. So we have a high risk exposure. Now we check, are they vaccinated? If they are vaccinated, health department and TEA have recommended they do not have to quarantine unless they're showing symptoms. If they're unvaccinated, they automatically get quarantined. So any person that is within that lab confirmed COVID positive individual in their 6-foot bubble for more than 15 minutes in a 24-hour period, they will then be considered high risk. And unfortunately for our elementary, because they're not eligible for vaccinations, they are then quarantined. Okay, so I needed to make sure you understood that. And it doesn't matter if you're a student, staff, or a visitor, a parent, a community member. If you are in that bubble, you will be asked to quarantine. Quarantine is still a 10-day period. Monitoring tool that we use is a 14-day period. So our nurses have been versed on that. And through the guidance of Dr. Fuentes, myself and Nurse Beduman, we guide people to ensure that is handled across the district. As far as masks, so back in May 18th, the governor put out executive orders that stated that we no longer, as a school district, now I'm just talking school district, but he did say more entities. But as far as the school districts, they were no longer allowed to mandate masks. As of today, August 15th, he put out governor's orders, executive orders of 38. School systems cannot require students or staff to wear a mask. He addresses the government mandated face coverings in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and states that we cannot not allow students to wear masks. If they choose to, that is their prerogative, but we cannot mandate them. That includes anyone that comes onto our buildings and our property. We cannot mandate them to wear a mask. So I know that Ms. Rocha, the first day of school, we the central office were dispatched out to the campuses, and we were taking our own informal survey of determining how many staff members were wearing masks, how many students were wearing masks, parents that were coming in, were they masked up? And for the most part, the majority were. But that's not to say that in a mask or without a mask, you can't be considered a high-risk exposure. Because part of the criteria is it doesn't matter if you're wearing a mask. However, the mask does help to defray from I guess in better terms, spit, my saliva coming out. So it does help in that way. As student support, we have already dispatched out the excess masks, PPE that we have as far as face shields, hand sanitizing, sanitizing wipes, and gallons of hand sanitizer to the campuses. And then Mr. Vasquez is working alongside the campuses for those standalone hand sanitizer stations or dispensers. So we still are keeping up with our PPE. As far as the water fountains are concerned, originally, and again, this changes. We had sent it out and then 2 days later it changed. We had said water fountains would stay closed. Then health department said, no, you need to open them. However, you do not use the spouts for students to drink directly. They can use them to refill their water bottles until our refillable stations come in, and that is being worked on to determine procurement, funding,
architectural specifications.
yes, all of that goes with that wonderful thing. So we are understanding about the water fountains. Campuses are still providing closed water bottles as well as water bottles that we've gotten from our partners in education to donate in case someone forgets a water bottle, and then also the water fountains. And then Coach Brooks has made every effort as far as hydration when it comes to the athletic program and ensuring that those equipments are there to keep kids hydrated.
All right,
So-
Dr. Reyes, let me just stop for 1 second, because one of the community members that spoke during open forum, I guess they were giving information and just joined us, so, but that what you're speaking of is particular with the water fountains. Can you please reiterate that again so he can hear that?
Sure.
It's directly in response to his
Sure.
issue and his complaint.
So through our COVID safety team, our district team, Mr. Vasquez sits on that team along with myself and Dr. Fuentes. And we received recommendation from the health department that we reopen the water fountains. However, the water fountains we're not able to have students drink directly from the water fountains with the spouts. They are to only use the water fountains to refill their water bottles, so that there's no contact and no touching of the spout.
And do we have proper signage for that?
And we have been working and.
It's being worked on. In fact, this morning I got the quote from the vendor. And
Okay,
so we're processing that.
all right. And this is just recent from the health department?
Correct.
Okay.
This was last week.
Okay.
This is last week. They're training him?
The teachers and the kids are not allowed to.
Fantastic.
Okay,
So the signage will be there, and then principals are making sure that the information is disseminated out. If there isn't a water fountain that is functional, we ask that anybody please report that to Mr. Vasquez so that he can address that with the campus as well as with his staff, so we can ensure that our kids are properly hydrated. Absolutely. Anything else you want to say to that, Mr. Vasquez?
Out of 380 something, we have 6 that are not working. We're getting quotes to replace those. And as part of the work that facilities does to upkeep existing infrastructure, those will be replaced with water filler stations already. We're not going back to the existing water spout.
okay.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Payan,
what's the timeline of getting those refillable fountains?
So we have to work with our architects to develop a project, because every time that you upgrade any existing facility, it has to meet accessibility standards. And so they're the experts, they're going to come up with a project, and we already have identified the number of stations. We've already gotten some preliminary work done with vendors. It's just the timing issue is we still have to go through a process. We're hoping to have a more definite answer definitely before the end of October.
Is there any way to expedite?
Yes, there will be a way to expedite it. Of course, we can certainly try to do that.
Because if I understand you correctly, the sooner, the earliest you're talking about is October?
To have the project ready, to get bids and to get quotes.
Oh,
Yes, so we are reacting basically to the change in direction from the CDC, which happened just recently.
Can we forego the bid process to get it done?
not sure that we could.
I mean, it's an emergency.
Yeah.
Isn't there counsel with respect to issues of safety?
There's a certain, if you all remember, there was an interlocal that was entered into with Region 4. And to facilitate, connectivity and making sure kids have hotspots, what Region 4 did, they did the RFP process. You all didn't have to worry about it. And TEA said, for purposes of procurement requirements under the education code, we're waiving that. We just want you all to get hotspots. And these are all the private companies. These are all the prices we got through that RFP. I don't know if there's something similar for this, but I'm happy to look and work with Reno to find out.
Yes, thank you. We'll take any opportunity to expedite it.
But what other options do we have without having to go through the bid process, guys?
Probably a co-op. I mean, if we could find some sort of, but this is a lot more.
Yes,
Specialized, I think.
we're anticipating, and we're not stopping because of cost. We're stopping because of the procedures that
Okay,
we
all
were
right.
thinking of following, but we're anticipating this be at least over $1 million project. It's
Okay,
a
I
lot of
understand.
units.
That was my next question, is it possible that we,
Yes.
because that could make a determination how fast we can go.
And it's not necessarily in every case switching one unit or another. It's also modifying some of the existing walls around the units.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, because of new accessibility standards that we need to meet.
Got it.
Sure.
Mr. Pan,
Again, so if we're gonna take this time, and God knows how long it's gonna take, I know you're trying to get it done as soon as possible. This way is, are the, you said you had bottled water at the campuses?
yes, there is bottled water at campuses. In the case that kids forget water, their own personal water bottles to fill in the water fountains, then we can give them a water bottle. closed.
But is there water bottles available
That's it.
for the kids to have if they want one?
If they want one, yes, we do have some. And I know that was coming out of Mr. Vasquez's account.
Facilities is providing a recurring batch of water. We have a system by which, we don't wait until the water bottle is over. We know from the lead custodians that, hey, we're running low, and then we resupply them. There's been, in all this time, I think one incident at one campus where, a little bit of lack of communication. We didn't have water for 1 day and a half, I would say. And that got resolved, and new methods were implemented to prevent that from happening again. It hasn't happened again.
There's also water available for child nutrition.
I'm sorry?
Child nutrition also provides water at
Cafeteria.
at mealtimes.
Like individual bottles?
Yes.
Okay.
No, that's my only concern, because if kids need water, I know my granddaughter goes to school with a couple of bottled water containers full of water. That's what my daughter does. And I'm sure a lot of parents are doing that because, and obviously a lot of youngsters are not going to be able to, for whatever reason. I just want to make sure we understand that it's important to be.
Yes.
No, and the parents, that they know that there's accessible water for them, that the kids is not gonna be thirsty the whole day, that one way or another, they're going to have definitely water. This is the main thing, living thing. And they need to be rest assured that the water will be provided to the students. This is very good to underline. So thank you.
I have one question, Mr. Vasquez.
Yes, ma'am.
Realistically, for the refill station, barring all of the architectural designs and the money and all that, realistically, are we looking at December, January, February to be able to
If I answer the question today, I can and I will. If we had the purchase order with us today,
Yes, sir.
we would be expecting those units to arrive within 3 months. Because everybody is trying to do the same thing. The manufacturing processes are delayed and the delivery processes are delayed as well. And so I run the risk of giving you an answer and not being able to fulfill it because it's decidedly outside of our control.
Right. I just want us to be able to understand that, you know, even if we were to put an order today, that we wouldn't be able to get them for 3 or 4 months.
Yes,
So,
that is true.
But the important thing is that
I want you to understand, Mr. Vasquez. We're not blaming you. I'm not blaming you. I understand that procedure that you're saying. Everything is delayed right now. I ordered a pair of pants the other day, through Amazon, they said September,
Oh, man.
you know, that kind of deal. So I understand. We're not blaming you. Just all we want to know is realistically where we're looking at. And we want to make sure that the parents
the
know
parents know.
that there's water available at the school.
Yes, definitely.
That's important. That's important. That's all it is. Thank you, sir.
thank you, Mr. Bond. Ms. Earls.
Yes, I did see, to the administration's credit, in the warrant list this month, there were thousands of dollars worth of water bottles, like, you know, for your own personal, not like this, that you throw away, but for each campus, they have their own personal water bottles. I got a feeling they ought to start turning out soon, because I did see it, we purchased them, money's paid, and there were a lot of them.
We are trying to be as proactive as possible when it comes to everything that we learned from last year. And proudly, we can say that we know more now than we did 18 months ago. So we can be more proactive. You have with you a yellow copy. There's a yellow colored page and there's copies over there for our audience if you would like to take a copy. This is our back to school general information for parents, the one in yellow, the one in purple. The one in purple is for staff, if I'm not mistaken, is it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then the one in blue is the athletic protocols. So we really tried to give it to you in a nutshell. So it's a one pager front and back. They are going to be, if they aren't already, posted on our COVID-19 updates webpage. And then we are also going to upload our 23-page safety protocols that encompasses everything from playgrounds to sharing materials to disinfecting to cafeteria to athletics to extracurricular to PE, electives, all of that is on there. So that will be placed there. We also have Dr. Fuentes's presentation, her PowerPoint presentation that she has been doing for the last 2.5 weeks, both in English and Spanish, both in the morning and in the afternoon and the evening. We've done 2 sessions with staff last week during the staff development week, professional development week, and she will continue to do these weekly so that we can continue to update.
Dr. Fuentes give a summation of parents and staff's questions and.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. It's been a pleasure from learning so much from the school system and all of that. So it's just to, I guess, introduce myself to the parents who do not know me. I'm the public health emergency manager. So pretty much my role is to be checking constantly for any updates from the CDC, from CDA, from the governor, from the Arkansas Department of Public Health, and to see all this information changes sometimes daily, sometimes within the hour. It's like constantly changing, right? So pretty much my function and my role here is to make sure that everybody here, all the principals, all the staff should be informed, right? They should be informed with the most current information. As soon as I get new information from any of these agencies, I provide a memo to all the principals of any changes, and I include that's presented and many other, staff.
Excuse me, but this, can you put the microphone closer up?
Yes,
So
I'm
we can
sorry,
get your
yeah.
recording, please?
So everybody, for me, communication and information is vital. We all can be on the same page and function properly, especially we're taking care of so many schools, employees, students, right, of so many ages, vaccinated, unvaccinated, with different ideals. So pretty much, no matter how your ideal is, where you face not wearing vaccinated, not vaccinated, I still need to be sure that we're following all the proper guidelines to protect everybody, no matter what your beliefs are, okay? So based on that, that's pretty much my function. So I apologize if you haven't received the proper information. Just so you know, I've been doing these information webinars. I connect in the mornings, in the night, in the evenings. And I have like, if they're open, to the public, anyone can connect. Anyone can just go in there and ask questions. I didn't provide you this information. I've been doing.
What were some questions that the community were asking during your?
Usually they're concerned, like most of the parents are concerned about vaccination, not being vaccinated.
Just
But what, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm concerned about the parents. I try to address their concerns, but,
You want you to tell them.
to them. Okay, so pretty much that the main concerns are, I guess, all the protocols. I think it's what are we doing when there's a positive case? What are the rules? How are we taking care of making sure that all the teachers are, like screening or NFP ensure to keep all the students safe? So pretty much those are mostly the concerns. Of course, they ask questions about the rules and I provide them the information. And that's pretty much what we've been doing on that.
She has had some extensive conversations with those that do not either believe in the vaccine or do not want to take the vaccine. And she has been able to provide research and data and information, and then they continue to ask her more questions and probe and become more informed. And that's what we want. We want our community to be more informed. So she's had extensive conversations.
And for example, for next week, I invited a pediatric immunologist, so we're gonna have a Q&A because I want to be able that it's not only me providing information. I want to have like doctors, specialists with different, like educational background, and to provide that information to the public. So they, at least whatever decision that they make, it's always like a very well informed decision from the specialist. So pretty much that's what I've been doing.
So, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Trout.
I do have a question related to what you said. For example, are you going to invite the community or you're going to invite the parents as well so they could know about this? I think it answers the question of the teacher there that she was asking what could be, what could be the protocol in case that someone's going to get vaccinated as well. I think it will be a good idea to bring a doctor here and they could answer those questions to the parents, to the person's going to have that problem. You know what? I don't want to get vaccinated. What could be the protocol? What could be the side effects or what not? Or what could happen? Or I want to wear the mask or I don't want to wear the mask. What can I do? But it would be good to bring a doctor so that they could answer.
Yeah, sorry, Ms. Trout. For the record, 6:49 and Mr. Rodriguez has joined us.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Trout.
Thank you. And I think that's it. I mean, pretty much to keep inform our parents, because of course they have a lot of concerns, right? Which is going to be the protocol and what of the kids, for whatever reason, tested positive. Yeah, quarantine, and then after that, what it is. And then all those questions, and it's wonderful that we could.
And I think it's very important to also tell the parents to know that we don't want to force anyone to do either or. Whatever we provide is to provide information. It is a right to decide whatever we want to do. And that's what we do in protocol to ensure that we're taking care of everybody, regardless of their decision. But at least my role is to make sure that we're providing accurate information, scientific information for the community.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Mr. Payan.
Ms. Reyes, Dr. Fuentes, my question is, I know you did the webinar and again, keep going back. Because of the demographics, a lot of people are not going to be able to access your presentation on the webinar. Is there any potential opportunities to do a face-to-face meeting at Davenport or Childress or Garcia? Face-to-face with some of these parents and invite the public. I know there's a concern about getting a big crowd together and, you know, I understand that, but I don't know if there's a way that you could do it so that, say, 10, 20 people could be present, that you can invite them and say, hey, we're here to answer your questions. Because believe me, if somebody picks up on something, says something, by the time it gets to the fifth person, it's already got a convoluted presentation and you don't, you know, that way, I don't know, maybe Dr. Galavis, I don't know.
And if I may just to answer that question, I've been going to schools to do in-person sessions. So I've been personally attending different schools to approach parents and have these in-person.
After school, you know,
Yes.
do a 30-minute,
I've been
because
doing them in
believe me,
Spanish and English. both.
because of the demographics, people, a lot of people I know
Of course.
they don't have the means to, or the,
She went to Davenport.
okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Davenport.
We have one at Lone Star.
We have one at Lone Star, so they're having them, so people have options. You know,
How was the reception? How was
No one wanted.
I'm sorry?
There was no one at that point.
No? Oh, my God.
But still, however, I still approach parents, but because they were in line for requesting information, I still like approach them to see if they have questions about protocols, like I still try to approach those parents that were in the school point.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's an issue of, I don't know. I don't want to say you didn't communicate it, but we need to get people informed. Believe me, because there's people out there spreading rumors and you've got to get ahead of the game before. And the best way to do it is face to face, tell them, this is what we have to do. This is the way it is. This is how we're doing. That way people don't, believe me, because it's a shame, but people don't listen to what. Yeah. You know that as well as I do. Thank you, Dr. Fuentes.
And we will be asking principals, we have been asking principals if they want to invite Dr. Fuentes to their coffee with the principal, their PAC meetings, their parent advisory committee meetings, any of those that they have. She's more than willing to be out there, you know, explaining and answering any questions.
And tomorrow I'm gonna be at Field Elementary. Tomorrow I'm gonna be at Field Elementary. Also to address any questions.
BCE.
At
Bill
what time?
Childress.
It's in the morning at 10 a.m. With the principals, I'm gonna be there as well to answer questions in person.
All right, Miss, are you, Mr. Pat? Ms. Searles,
Are we supposed to ask questions on this document yet?
which document are you talking about?
Okay, yeah. So it's the one in our book, the student safety protocols.
Yeah, just let me see if Dr. Fuentes is finished with her presentation and then we can take that up.
Okay.
Okay, all right, Ms. Searles.
So I had, interestingly enough, I had earmarked some of the same things that were brought up in our public comment. The ventilation, I'd like to know, Mr. Vasquez, can you tell me what you've done that's different for the ventilations in the ventilation in our schools, if anything?
We have replaced the filters, Mrs. Searles, so it's really nothing different because the current units are not rated for higher efficiency filters. If we were to place higher efficiency filters on the units, because these are older models, they would choke. It's like the example that I've been using is we would give asthma to the unit. They would not be able to pull enough.
I understand. So are maybe the teachers being encouraged with this same ventilation, you know, for 10 minutes every day? Let's get an air exchange, open your window.
So yes, not all of the windows are operable.
Yes.
Because the district,
I
we
understand.
changed to refrigerated air.
I
But
understand.
one of the policies that we had recommended is to keep the doors open so that there is additional circulation of air throughout the building. Now, we have confirmed that the exchange rate of air is sufficient. There are standards that we are following, and those standards haven't changed in fact. Given the information that we know that this, thank God, this is not an airborne disease. So yes.
Did we get the blue lights? I know we spent an awful lot of money putting LED lights in our campuses. I asked Dr. Galvez, we were getting the blue lights. Did those have the blue lights or more for hospitals?
Well, they're everywhere, down at the racetrack.
I mean, for whatever we research.
Yes, we haven't installed any ultraviolet lighting. We haven't. There is a reason for it. And the reason being is that right now, the experts that we have consulted, they have not given us a definite answer of which of the various technologies that were developed in the rush of trying to address this virus is the most efficient. There's another technology called ionization system, and that seems to be the one that's gaining more traction. And so with the current availability of technologies, we are not convinced that bringing in any of these would have made a significant impact on the indoor air quality for the campus.
I just feel that if it's good enough for a hospital to those blue lights, we ought to take a chance and, ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So then I have the volunteer part, Mark, that I don't understand. I mean, I understand we want people vaccinated, but how did we decide it's only the volunteers that had to be vaccinated?
So we vetted our attorney and asked if that was legal to do. We were told that yes, it was okay to request or require that. We discussed that with human resources, and through our regulation and the vetting of our attorney, we decided that it was in the best interest for the masses at our schools to do an extra layer of protection, and that would be to ensure that anybody who's coming on our campus to be a volunteer, which is voluntarily a person coming on,
Should be vaccinated.
that they should be vaccinated, because we don't want to provide an extra layer of exposure for whatever that reason is. And then the question or the response was, well, wait a minute, you don't require your employees to be vaccinated. Well, first of all, we're not allowed to.
If we were allowed to, we would, probably.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is that employees are in their position because of their experience, their skill. They're there for a reason and they're a necessity. Otherwise, they would not be an employee of the district. Volunteers, as much as we love them and we encourage and we want to reboot our parent-family engagement, they are not the necessity. The employees are the necessity.
I understand.
So for that layer of volunteer, we just felt that it was in our best interest for the masses, especially for those that are ineligible to get vaccinated, that they're not on our campuses and providing potential exposure.
Mask or that.
At this point, any volunteer that comes on is expected to follow our CISD safety protocols. We do highly recommend and encourage they wear masks. We ask that they physically distance, and that they are following protocols to a T. So they do get screened when they come in. So their temperature is checked. They are filling out their screening tool in Raptor. So we do that extra layer.
The volunteer.
Yes, ma'am. And visitors too. So we add that extra layer just because we want to be proactive.
Okay.
So that was the decision we made. for now. Now, it doesn't mean that it has to stay this way. It's just for now. I mean, look at where we are. We're in a stage 2.
I understand. I just, you know, I read this and it hurt me
Yes,
too that. You
And
know, I did not.
if I may, a little bit to that is that we are having an increase in cases, especially with the Delta virus. So I think it's very important right now to
Everything
the number of people that come to
Yes.
limit the number of people that just come to the building. Now, I have been talking also like the people of volunteers who do not agree with this decision. And I agree with them, you know, to meet on a monthly basis and to give them a picture of how are we standing, what are we doing, so we can see, we can reconsider and start opening up more volunteer opportunities. So that's my agreement that I've been with the volunteers as of right now.
Just
to
keep us
the time.
updated on that, because I know it's something we always want so
We
badly,
need
and
that.
it's so
We
hard to
need that.
get. Yes.
Well, and for me, it's an oxymoron because part of my job is to reboot and to have a rigorous parent and family engagement. And then here I am saying, like, here's a requirement.
Yes,
And so at this point,
Just wait us a little bit and we'll talk and we'll be open up with the number, how we stand it. If everything's good under control, then we'll start go ahead and look for.
if y'all could give us, you know, maybe like a monthly update or something, if you
Exactly.
want. And back to Mr. Vasquez. Mr. Vasquez, it says on the airflow, if the classrooms have operable windows, they need to remain closed.
because it's refrigerated air.
I think that's all the more reason. Let's blow outside.
So the refrigerator air brings air from the outside anyways. That is the design of the unit.
Yeah.
So, we also have to keep in mind that these units are designed with the intent of the building being a sealed environment.
So it's due to the HVAC
So
system. is why that's
it's
written.
due to the HVAC system. Now, like we said before, because of different conditions, the humidity levels this year have been more significant than in other years. There are different conditions. And so we don't work with robots. We expect people to be, you know, they have the free will to maybe open a window, but we're not recommending that to be.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. That's
All
all.
Thank you, Mr.
This is a real nice document. Thank you very much. It was really, I don't know if everybody else got it too, but it's a really good, inclusive, everything. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Jones. Anybody? Questions?
No, go ahead.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Just real quick, I was actually watching the YouTube video on the website. I had a couple of questions in regards to, can you go back, Mr. Vasquez, on the water fountains? What's taking so long? You're saying that we have to have an engineering firm to design it? I mean,
Yes.
cooperative?
One of the reasons why we had delayed this process is because originally the intent was to keep those closed. So as we begin to replace some of these units, some of the units are not ADA compliant. Whenever a unit is in what's considered a path of travel, the new requirements, meaning that requirements that were placed after those units were installed, calls now for some sort of protection for somebody who uses a cane. The way that most of the older units is placed prevents somebody that uses a cane from detecting that there is an obstacle on the path of travel. And so the new requirements mandate that anything that we're replacing meets ADA standards. And so one of the purposes of having an architect on board to address some of these projects was, in fact, in an effort to expedite, the development of some projects like these.
Why don't we look at plumbing engineering instead? I mean, the architect's gonna hire an engineering firm to actually do that, so. In regards to
That is so,
trying to fast track the
no,
process.
so most of the work is directly related to architecture. There may be some plumbing, but it's the major concern right now is to make sure that those units are physically adequately located where they're supposed to be. Because what I was saying also is that some of the bottle filling stations, they have different dimensions. The unit itself is a little bigger. And so some of them will not fit in some of the alcoves that we currently have. We're gonna have to make small modifications to the wall assembly to make sure that they fit.
Do we have an assessment of which ones do fit and which ones don't?
Yes, we have a preliminary assessment. And that preliminary assessment, originally I thought, oh, we can just replace one by one. After a company that represents one of the companies that they don't sell the units, they represent a manufacturer. They came in and they did an assessment, and that's where I was able to say that we have about 380 or so units. And as I was reviewing that document, I realized, oh, we're not gonna just be able to ask Mr. Kangas or our plumbers to go, swap one for the other. There's much more work that needs to be done on this front.
So, I mean, if we've had an assessment, which ones can be and which ones can't, we should work on the ones that can be done and just swap those out. Wouldn't you say that?
That would be one way to approach it. Yes, what we're trying to do is a single project altogether. But with the discussion that happened tonight and understanding the sense of urgency, we can look at the possibility of, like Mr. Payan was recommending, looking for ways to expedite the delivery of this project.
And when was that, I guess, decided to actually say when? Is this just recently or?
The decision
that we were going to convert the current water fountain to the new water fountain.
Oh, when was that discussion? Towards the end of June, I would say?
Yes.
Yeah, around, so when after the last meeting that we had with District Advisory Committee, which I think it was in May, our subsequent meeting for the COVID protocol was in June, sometime in June, and that's when we decided, what we're seeing is we don't think that we want to go back to anybody having to, use the drinking spout to get their water.
What's the method are we using?
For the actual installation and the supply of the project, we're probably going to use competitive bids, given that it's very good. It's going to be very specific. The quantities, the types, and there's only 2 or 3 manufacturers that can supply these devices. So we feel confident that a competitive bid is going to be advantageous for the district.
And when would that be solicited?
What we were anticipating is that, again, now that we're going to expedite this process, we hope to have bids ready around the end of October.
I would recommend just administration, just look at different alternatives to see how we can address this a lot sooner. In regards to, I know we talked about the lights, but the air purifier. The question I had in regards to air purifiers, have we looked at air purifiers? And, I know when this happened, I bought several just for the house, my mom's house and mine, and they've been able to work. But I know some of the stuff we bought were not commercial grade. The ones I had seen on Central Office, have we looked at either upgrading? Those are quick fixes where you actually put in the classroom and grass. Have we looked at that?
We have the units available that are feasible to bring in are very small. For a typical 800 square foot classroom, we would be needing 4 or 5 of those for each classroom. They are meant, like you said, they're meant for small spaces. small individual offices of 8 by 8, 10 by 10 feet or so. So we had also considered the possibility of bringing portable individual filtration devices, but that's the outcome of that research.
The ones I bought, and this is more residential, but I know I bought the molecules and that actually fits, anywhere from, I don't know what that is, 1,000 square feet. But I think there's other options out there that could be looked at, which are quick fix, that are more commercial grade. Because it does seem like the science is there. Just to look at that. The other question that I had on Dr. Garcia, in regards to vaccination, I know I was talking to Priscilla. We probably don't, or do we have the numbers of who's been vaccinated out of staff and who hasn't? And I've seen other districts, what they looked at is giving stipends to those that have been vaccinated. Is that an option out there? And have we looked into that?
Well, we do have the data.
We have immunization rates for employees based on their location of campus. And that is something that the health department is asking us to do. If they have a 75% or above immunization rate, that I guess that would be considered herd immunity, that we would look at our contact tracing and quarantining different. However, that is only the employees. We do not have data at this time, except for elementaries, which is 0, because they're not eligible for the middle schools and the high schools. We can't, make it mandatory for them to reveal their COVID-19 vaccinations. However, many parents are very willing to share that with us and are requesting us to upload it into our student medical records management system, which is good because then we have a copy of it so we can handle it for contact tracing. It could help us with our immunization rate. And if the parent happens to lose it, we have a copy of it. So we are working on parents, please asking them to please be able to give us a copy of it so that we can figure that out by campus. But we are still enrolling kids. We've had a surge, right, of more kids, Ms. Rocha, new kids coming in. We were surprised at the enrollment of new kids coming to our district. So we still have that going on. So nurses are focusing on student medical history records and the immunization records before we jump into COVID-19.
And my concern is more, I know we wouldn't be able to, we would hope more students get it depending on science and what. But how we could get our staff, to that herd immunity, whether it's at 75% or even higher. So I don't know if that's something that y'all want to look at. I know other districts have done it just from, I could Google news articles that I've seen across the state that are doing. So it might be an option, especially those that take campus that's 40% vaccinated. How do we get that at 70%?
So currently 91% of our employees are vaccinated. 91%.
Although I find it hard to offer a stipend to someone, because right now it's a choice. And to start, hey, here's is it $50, $100, maybe. No,
The vaccine is free, so they could always get it.
but offering a stipend to employees to go get a vaccination. The ones that already did.
Your record, and that would be a record, like show us your vaccination record, and then it's not.
We have 91%, but we do have employees that can't because of the doctor. So you can't. How do you, I don't know.
And we're also gonna have UMC mobile clinics gonna come down. We're gonna do 3 events, those 3 events. So anybody who wants to come,
Yes,
and get vaccinated and to have the dates over there. So they're welcome to when I got vaccinated for the mandatory. The just gonna be like, to help us get the 75% so we can, relax on all these events we have.
And just apologies, I don't know if that was said earlier, I was in a recording meeting.
Yes.
So.
You're right, that's
As
important.
best as I can.
That's important thing that you.
We're real quick in your information and all the papers that we filed out is everything from our law group, which talks about, masks remain optional for Texas public schools despite CDC guidance.
Uh-huh.
The governor, you cannot,
Okay.
yeah,
Good to know.
And then also we had Dr. Esperanza just sent something out, was that yesterday? I got it. So our city health and some also for this week. We are meeting on Monday at 9, the region superintendents. We talked about concerns because some of the issues that we have or opportunities is when kids go out on their quarantine, we still have to offer instruction. But the teacher of record cannot be that teacher. It can't be concurrent. So but it has to be 4 hours of synchronous learning. In other words, not asynchronous, not a computer program, a live person on the other side. So we're working through that. That's what we just found out today. We think we have a viable plan pretty well, but again, this is all brand new. We're moving and shaking and. Mr. Coach Brooks?
You guys want me to talk about our athletic plan? I didn't know if we were going there or if all done.
Everybody else has no? Okay, yeah, go ahead. I have some questions and some kind of things that we need to discuss about the board's role and our administration in this.
And I have 2 questions as well.
Okay, last year we were one of the few that were on campus with kids. And I think from middle school to high school, our trainers, our coaches, our kids did a great job of following every protocol that we had last year. Last year, they were very strict with UIL. What we couldn't do this year, UIL has one thing in their thing, and that's all it says is a kid who has tested positive for COVID must be released by a doctor. And that's last year we had probably 20 pages of guidelines. This year we don't. We're going to continue a lot of the things we did last year. We're going to suggest, last year we bought a program, we have a program called Rank 1 with well, we bought the health portion of it. All our kids screened on Rank 1 last year. The reason we were doing it last year is because they were coming from home and we could catch them at home. Well, it's hard to catch a kid at 3:30 if they're, do symptoms. They've been in school all day with the other kids, so it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. We've talked about getting the system again to use it for kids who are going. It's going to happen, kids who are quarantined, so that we've got that basis to use for they fill it out every day. The kids they're good at it. We did a QR code last year, walk up, they're done. They were better than the adults. And it'd take about 10 seconds once they got used to it. So we use that. This year, we're going to encourage the screening. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's going to be a little hard to do the program that we did last year. High school, middle school locker rooms are going to be reopened. Last year we didn't. It was very easy because we came from home. The kids this year we're coming from class, so it's going to be they're already being used. Volleyball's already started. Middle school sports already started. Football starts Monday. Cross country's already started. The things we're going to do is we're going to try to limit the time we're in there. Like in our case, we open every door in the building in the field house just for circulation, so it provides more. We did it all summer and it seemed to work. We're going to clean and sanitize locker rooms. It's not going to be custodians. It's not going to be, we're wiping down. We're using a spray. It's called Wizard. We use it's been used all year for us, and we've been doing it. And I have a machine we bought, I don't know, 10 years ago that you just plug it in and the thing sprays the locker room. And if you stand there long enough, you'll feel it. I did that one day. I thought I was going to walk out of there. It's strong stuff. Face mask, we're going to encourage indoors with the kids. It's hard sometimes to get, especially high school athletes. Last year we encouraged it. It's very hard for them because they're exercising to wear a mask. We're going to encourage it. I would say we kind of did
I asked Dr. Grace about this, we really asked the kids, but just kind of surveying the kids in general, say, are you vaccinated or not? I would say we're 65-70% of our athletes are vaccinated just by what we've asked them, because they want to participate, their parents want to participate. As far as hydration goes, last year we bought, our trainers were very proactive, bought a bunch of hands-free coolers. So kids just walked up, put your water under it. In the high schools, what we're going to do, and people say, well, only football. Well, we got 150 kids. If you got 150 kids standing around one water thing, that's we're defeating the purpose. So we're going to have our student trainers and our trainers, they'll disperse the water to the athletes, much like we did during a game last year. Our middle schools, where the numbers aren't so high, they will bring their own water. The trainers, the coaches will be the only ones to be able to refill water bottles. Indoor sports will bring their own water bottle. Last year, I bought every kid in our program a water bottle. I didn't do it this year because I figured I gave everybody one already. They ought to be able to deal with it. And kids are used to it. Our kids are used to bringing water bottles. They're used to bringing, I mean, some of them bring these things. They look like they're going to be gone for 3 days. So they're used to it. It's the coaches are used to it. Our indoor sports, we're gonna try to make it, especially practices, but we are going to make it. They're going to have their own water bottles. During games, it's going to be a little different. The trainers will provide cups for the kids to drink out of the timeout, etc. Okay. Our outdoor sports, all our middle schools and high schools are going to provide they'll be provided, they'll bring their own water source, not source, their own bottles, they'll be able to refill them, etc. COVID-19 testing, we did a bunch of tests last year. I think I did 9 last year myself in the spring. We're going to still offer it. Cannot make it mandatory. One of the things that Dr. Reyes, we had a meeting 2 days ago, 5 of us, the athletic trainers, everything. If we suspect a student athlete comes to practice, shows up to a game, coach, I'm not feeling very well, I have a runny nose, we're going to ask that kid test right then and there. And if they don't, we're going to send them home. This isn't, and we learned this last year. Used to, Sergio, you played, Mondo, someone else. Mondo played, and it used to be toughen up. That changed last year. That's not the way things operate. We tell the kids, hey, if you're not feeling good, stay home. And it's worked pretty well, we feel like. So we're going to do that with the kids. We're also going to try to push, and we can't push the vaccination, but we sure can. Like we already talked to the football kids, we kind of explained the other day, look, if this guy's vaccinated, this guy's not, this guy's going to be quarantined. This guy's not, he's going to get to probably keep going. So that there's some added value to it. So we're not pushing it, but we're trying to, spread the positivity of it. Okay. I have a 28-year-old and a 24-year-old. I got one that will and one that won't. So it's just the way it is.
For the record, you have a football coach saying, spread the positivity.
There you go.
I've never heard you say that. It's because you have a granddaughter.
Yes. Okay, and the other thing is, we're going to follow all just like we done last year. We'll follow all procedures. We're not, we make sure that we're above and beyond about following guidelines. I would say, as a whole, I'm not speaking for all our coaches, I would say we're probably about 90%. And I've got several who they're not going to get it. I mean, it's just, they're adamant that they're not. You can't change their mind. You can't. So, but other than that, I will say this. I think our trainers have done a great job of addressing, even last year, y'all were talking about the water situation. Our trainers, day one, we spent, I don't know, $1,500 on these. The spouts, we took them out, the old spouts out of the old water coolers, we push them. You just put your thing on it. We even got 6 that you do with a foot pedal. So they've been very proactive of getting our kids where they're safe. Or we feel like they're safe. We're doing everything we can. I don't want anybody to think we're still doing that. Yes, we're doing it. It's a different way that we've done it. It was very stressful. Just so y'all know, you don't know day to day, especially last year, what's going to happen. From a middle school coach to me, it was a very stressful year because you didn't know what was going to happen, what new guidelines were going to come out. And we talked a lot this week about how we were in first week of September last year to how we related things in March and how much it changed and how much better we got at it. So, I don't know if you'll have any questions for me or.
Anybody have any questions? No? No, thank you, Coach. I think that gives us a little perspective on the athletic issues, and I think, I feel confident you guys have it well in hand. And there's things that, we as a board need to discuss, obviously with respect to these issues.
Mr. Chair, I do have some questions, but not exactly to the coach, but it's still for Dr. here. I don't know if I still have a time.
Fuentes or Dr.?
Yes, yeah, both of them.
Okay.
Is that okay? I just
Sure,
want to
go
try to
ahead.
be fast. Going back a little bit to this protocol. On page 14, if someone has the printed one, it says the temperature check protocols. It says currently due to the low community spread, now you already stated that it's increasing now. There will be no daily temperature checks on students and staff enter to the school building. My question is, why not providing as a recommendation like our item says here? Why don't we have some temperature check devices, not approachable ones? How do they call those? The temperature check devices, the portable ones, not contact? Why don't we have in the classrooms of the teachers, like whenever we go to the pharmacist or something, they put it like this. We don't need to be close because we're going to trust that the parents, they send the kids with no fever. But sometimes they don't have access to that for whatever reason. They lost it, it's not working. Okay, go to school like that. The kid did not even know that he might have a fever. My question is, why not to have those? I just checked the prices in Amazon, $25, $35, pretty accessible. With batteries, some of them are rechargeable. So we could have one of each of the classrooms, for the safety of the kids and the safety of the families here too. If we see the kid that he comes with a fever, okay, well, then you follow the protocol and to be. So as a recommendation, would be nice that we have one per classroom. Dr. Galaviz, hopefully we could see that. And going to page number 23, answer a little bit of the question that Mr. Raul Torres made already in regards of the disinfection of the supplies. It says here, COVID-19 supplies, CISD has the supplies needed to maintain a healthy environment, that the following items are part of the effort, which are thermometers, hand sanitizers, disinfecting wipes, disinfecting chemicals, COVID-19 signage, sneeze shields, gloves. So when it says thermometers, I would like to add to this list the non-contact check temperature devices. So add to this list will be nice. So the parents, they know, maybe send them a note, or the teacher, I don't know, the principal, they need to know that the kids are going to be checked before they got, and as well, the teacher and the students. So will be a good recommendation, Dr. Galaviz. Going a little bit to the lunch tables. So we know them are disinfected. We know their staff is working. My question is, are they going to serve the salad bars? Are they going to have those salad bars? The salad bars, you know which ones, right? For the high school?
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I'll have to ask this right now because it would be a container. So I don't know if you put the salad in containers, but I can find out.
Oh, okay. And the last.
Yes, so, and I appreciate that you're asking that question, because at this time, we really shouldn't be doing any kind of buffet or open salad bar, open salsa bars, because of the fact that, that cross-contamination. So everything should be packed, and if kids want that, they take, whatever is already pre-packed, or somebody's there to serve that.
And it's perfectly understandable. All that I wanted to see is to the people who's watching us right now, the parents at home. It's good for them, to share, sure that, what, the kids are going to have safety, hand out food and everything. But it's very important about those temperatures, the thermometer, the temperature taking, the individual ones, non-contact. Please, Dr. Galaviz, this is very important. Even it says here that they're not going to be checked. This is very important because the numbers are increasing. And we don't know. Like I said, we trust in the parents. I mean, we should live with that. We trust in your family. Our obligation is to get the kids safe. So they're going to come here. We need to check. Okay, no temperature, no fever. Okay, get in. And I think it's a protocol that they follow in a lot of places, not only school districts. Right? So thank you very much. And the last question goes on page number 26. It says the physical distancing in the classroom, desks or tables will be physically distanced 3 to 6 feet apart as much. My question is that enough room for all the kids, all the students in the classroom?
So our recommendation is if you can physically distance the desks, chairs, 3 feet to 6 feet, please do so. If you have a small classroom or a small class size of kids, please spread them out. You can continue to have desks that are 3 feet apart or 2 feet apart. But if you have a class of 8, please don't put them all together where they're sitting 2 feet apart. You need to spread them out. So there's practices there, but it also is contingent on the class size, the size of the room, making sure that the room is decluttered so that we don't have extra furniture, extra whatever item that might take up room, so that we can allow those desks and chairs to be more separated as much as possible. But I will tell you, we've got class sizes of 31.
That's my question.
And so when you have class sizes of 31 and you only have 29 desks, some of them are sitting at a table and they're waiting to bring desks in so that they can accommodate all kids. And then in a class of 750 square feet, 800 square feet, you're not going to be able to social distance or physically distance those desks 3 feet. But we are asking our teachers, do the best that you can with whatever you have to distance them as much as possible, because every foot counts. When you're looking at a 6 foot bubble, the ones that are sitting next to me, if I'm COVID positive, because he's just 2 feet farther away, he's not going to be in my high risk exposure list. So accommodating as much as possible and just being cognizant of that, that's what we recommend. And that's why we added that to our safety protocols.
So I think the teachers, they will be vigilant in those things, right? Always, I mean, that will work for the teachers and I really admire them and thank you. And kudos for the teachers because there's a lot of work. They got to be doctors, nurses, everything, right? And teachers at the same time. So thank you very much for helping to understand this. And to the parents, they know a little bit. Yes, ma'am.
And if I may add, also like to restate again, the same information is that, you know, as for the PPH of the August 3rd is that if you reach a 75% of the vaccine rate, we will be able, it says, physical distance should not be a priority. That's why it's so important to reach at least those 75% rates at this level. Now regarding the health screening, if you notice the date of the protocol, like the observation, it was on the 7/20th, and they was reading after our release of the DPH on July 19th, and the recommendation back then was not to do health screening as of right now because it was a low community spread. Obviously, the numbers are increasing. It's August 3rd, we have a new recommendations, and what it's really nice to see is that all the, like many of the principals, they decided, you know, even if it's not recommended right now, we still want to go ahead and continue doing temperature checks. I was able to be part of, do some monitoring of the schools, and it was really nice to see that extra step of teachers doing those temperature checks for their students. So even though it's not required, a lot of teachers are taking that extra step to ensure that that's really
Will be good, and hopefully we could see those chronometers and will be very helpful device for the teachers. And the friends that they don't have one at home, but okay, they could rest assured that whenever they come at school here, they're going to be checked, right? Which is good and good for them and good to know about their health. So thank you very much. I appreciate all you do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate that.
All right, anybody else? Okay. Are some of the issues obviously that we need, you know, the board need to consider is obviously what these taking into account the safety of our students and with this governor's mandate that has come down. I mean, we're caught in a quandary. Us as a district, as an organization, as a school board, of what do we do for the best interest of our students, our staff, our community in terms of safety because of this pandemic. And so we're caught from the federal side, the CDC telling us, yes, you need to mask up. Yes, vaccinate. Obviously, those people that have issues that can't vaccinate, we understand that. I'm sure we have those, this isn't the only time that we've required vaccines. What do we require, somebody in staff tell me, of people that come into our district, students, vaccinations? Are those required for certain things? What are those?
Chickenpox,
Chickenpox, what else?
measles,
Measles.
mumps.
I mean,
Yeah.
requiring vaccinations isn't something new. They're there for a reason, right? And obviously, some people have, and their doctors can do it. That's between them and their doctors, and all they need to do is provide that. You know, it's not that we're saying, take the vaccine regardless. No, this is about safety. This is about our kids. And you know what? The federal government is telling us, the CDC, who is really the prime #1 source for the health of the nation, is telling us mask up and vaccinate, right? Is that what they're telling us, Dr. Reyes, Dr. Fuentes? Right?
That is the high recommendation.
Highly recommended. Then we have the governor telling us, no, you can't do that. I mean, what are we supposed to do as a board? What do we follow? What does the science tell us? Where are we going to act in favor of? The economic concerns of the governor, or the safety of our children and our staff and our community?
Safety and prevention.
Hmm?
Safety and prevention.
The one I don't get is the mask up. Okay. I don't know what that, I mean, I don't know what doctor's telling you that you can't mask up. I mean, that's just, you know, prevention, right? If somebody had the flu, you want them sneezing on your food next to you, right? This is something a lot more serious than that. Right? Now, there's also guidelines that the federal government has put out with respect to busing for people in our buses. That's a different issue, right? Am I right or am I wrong? Dr. Fuentes, Dr. Right? What are those guidelines?
We highly recommend you wear a face mask.
Well, the federal government says highly,
No, the federal government is mandating.
they're mandating it. Yeah. So what are we gonna do? This is an enclosed area that these kids are in there. You know, what are we gonna do with respect to that? Interstate commerce law council trumps state law with respect to those issues, doesn't it? Doesn't it? It does.
And just so you know, President, I did reach out to TEA legal. You know, we have less frequent, but I would say regular email communication with their legal department to make sure that we're not missing anything that TEA is putting out, because they're the ones that are, I think, trying their best to interpret the governor's orders as it relates to school districts and only school districts. And obviously that's my concern. And so when I reached out about the conflict between the federal law and the governor's orders, for once, I think TEA said, you decide, we're leaving it up to the local council because it's open to interpretation, because arguably federal law trumps state order, especially when it relates to interstate commerce or public transportation. So, but it's just one of those areas where you're going to get a different viewpoint, and possibly even from an attorney. So it's unfortunately another area that's changing, just like the UIL, mitigation guidelines. One day there were 20 pages, the next I thought I was on the wrong page because I couldn't find them. And it was literally a line, one whole guideline. So just FYI, yeah, there's a lot of change. There's a lot of more coming.
Yeah, and the other thing I find interesting that some of the other states have done similar restrictions of not mandating, that you can't mandate masks, that's currently on litigation in other states right now. And so the thing that I find very troubling is that it's preventing us from making a decision freely and voluntarily without risk of repercussions when we want to act for the safety of our kids, and our employees, and our community. To that effect, I spoke with the mayor, and they sent a letter, and you all have a copy of this. The mayor and the county judge, I reached out to them. They sent a letter to the governor asking for basically to give the school districts or to give local control basically with respect to the COVID situation in terms of whatever positivity rate, outbreaks. And they're basically telling them that, it's probably better left up to the local control as to how to act and what safety protocols to put in place, depending on your area and the district and the agencies. And we met, actually, we had a conversation with our senator, both Dr. Galaviz and they've also requested, the governor's calling a new session, and they're sure they're going to take this up. But the governor response, my understanding, to the mayor and the county judge's letter was something to the effect of, we're going to let the parents decide. I mean, that's fine when you have issues related to the safety of the kids for not vaccination, even masking. But apart from that, I really, it's beyond me. If we want to protect and not have salad bars and not have this, and they're wanting us to take all these precautions and sanitizing and everything, to me, that's just like, it doesn't fit. It's counter to what the governor's order is. Have all these safety issues, and we're going to give you a sanitizer that, but hey, let them spread it, let them breathe out everything. No problem with that. I find that troubling. I don't know about you. I find it troubling as a community member, as a parent, as a school board member, even more so. I find it very troubling that we're asked not to protect the way we think. State of Texas has said, school districts, we're going to give you as much local control as you should have. We're going to leave most things up to local control, but not in this part. CDC, we have, this information from one of the law groups, but about what the CDC's recommendations and their mandates are. My position is that I think we as a district have to send a letter to the governor specifically requesting that. With respect to our busing, I think that we need to disregard this governor's order. I think we as a board need to say, no, safety of our kids come first. And right now, when they're in the buses, they will be wearing a mask. Period. I mean, I'm to the point where, I just saw the infection rates of the new Delta variant. Okay, the bottom line, this line that goes up this way, that was the COVID, not the variant. Okay, so how the increase initially started. The Delta variant is this line going straight up. Appears to be even more contagious than the initial COVID-19.
It says contagious as the chickenpox, and it has an R naught of 8 to 9. So a COVID positive person, and with the original strand, the R naught was 2 to 3.
Right.
That they could spread 2 to 3 people.
Right.
With the Delta variant, it's 8 to 9 people.
Yeah.
Per
person.
COVID positive.
Yeah. This graph bears it out. I just saw it yesterday. You know, this is a whole different.
Let's
ballgame.
go home now.
Excuse me?
Let's go home.
I mean, this is a lot more serious, and I don't see people right now taking this as serious as I think it should be. That's the problem that I see. I think we as a board need to stand up for the safety of our kids and our staff. We need to mandate that our students and everybody who's in, at least for now, on the buses, that they are mandated by this district to wear masks. We are going to follow federal law.
So we make that into a motion, right?
We can do that as a motion. I want to ask council's, we ask council's advice on that, but the other thing that I think we need to do is we need to ask, similarly what the mayor's office and the county judge did, is we need to send a letter to the governor exactly requesting the same thing that the mayor and the county judge requested, that they give us the districts. They specifically spoke about giving the districts control over these issues and are in conjunction with our local city county health leaders. I mean, I don't see any problems with that.
I support every move you're talking about, and
Yeah,
specifically,
And the other thing, if they don't respond to give us that, then I think we as a board need to come back and mandate masks for everybody, period. Let the chips fall where they may. We're acting for the safety of our students and for the safety of our staff. You know, the other thing that we're not thinking about that we discussed with our council is, and you know, if we have an outbreak because we're not mandating masks, and we have an outbreak in one of these, in our school, in our schools, in our classrooms, wherever it may be, and people die, and we're not following the federal guidelines that mandate masks and these other safety protocols, who's to stop those individuals that get hurt from suing us and the state? Is the state gonna, are they gonna stand up and pay up, council? What do you think?
Yeah, no, so, I mean, one of the things you all enjoy, obviously, as a school district and as a school board is immunity. And typically speaking, that protects you from these private lawsuits from parents or from a student. There are exceptions, however, to that. And one of the areas that's being tested that I shared with the board president is going to be this liability for contracting COVID-19 at school. You know, and I don't know that it's necessarily going to be a winning argument, but at the end of the day, we still have to go to court and fight it. And I know that some school districts have asked parents to sign waivers. You want your children to play football, but you don't want them to have a vaccine or wear a mask, sign right here, because we're not going to pay those medical bills, et cetera. A lot of school districts decided we don't want to go that route. You know, at the end of the day, there are students, we care about them, there are parents, we're a community. We don't want to start off that way. We just want to make sure that we're focused on education. So many school districts didn't do that, but there are some that started implementing those waivers because there's that possibility of litigation. So, I mean, another consideration, obviously, but.
Yeah, I mean, what are community members that would be on a jury say that we should have followed the guidelines of the federal government, CDC, that's really in charge of that, or our governor? Are we acting negligently by not? I don't know. What would a community say?
Now, also the American Academy of Pediatrics is pushing really hard to protect the children with universal masking.
Excuse me?
And also the American Academy of Pediatrics is pushing really hard for universal masking to protect the safety of all children.
Yeah, even the doctors, the pediatric doctors, the American Association of Pediatrics they're saying kids should be masking up, period. Right? I mean, really, the ones that right now we don't have a vaccine that hasn't been approved for vaccine, the younger kids, I don't see issues with that. Why they shouldn't be mandated to be masked for the safety of everybody concerned. I mean, is it really that big of a I don't know what the word is.
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Please, like Mr. Chair, is there any potential of, that school district could be sued because if the kids for whatever reason come and get contagious here?
Yeah, so that's what we were discussing. I mean,
It's happening already in some other school districts?
I think for the most part, immunity has held up well to litigation, school board, school district immunity, governmental immunity. The kind of immunity that cities have, municipalities, you all have as well, governmental and sovereign immunity. So in my experience, it's a very, it's a tried legal argument, but it's stood up well over time. This is new, however, this is new, and obviously we don't know. Can the school district be sued for it? Yes. Do we have defenses like immunity to raise in response to a lawsuit? Yes. And I'm confident that they would hold water, but again, it would still cost money. It would still require us to get involved, litigation costs, attorney's fees, all of that. So we won't know until we're there, basically. And so far, I haven't heard too much about other districts being sued, but it's being discussed, certainly.
And we're just starting the school year.
I
I mean, we're just barely getting back.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, another school district took already the same decision that is being wanted to be taken tonight, that mandated the mask for the students.
Which,
That's what I'm asking. Is there any other school district here?
oh, I know that Socorro is got an item on their agenda for next Tuesday, specifically for requiring masks of their students and staff.
I don't think any other has, but they're considering it.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah.
Since we opened more robust with teachers coming back, more employees coming back, and now kids coming back, we've had cases every day
Every day.
in our schools, every day.
And this is
Multiple
this
cases
is a
lately.
totally different deal.
You've had what?
We've had multiple cases, positive confirmed cases within our schools every day.
With our students. Do we have any new variant or the new virus already contagious here?
So they
That's
have
the one.
sent out, yes, they have sent out media releases.
Here
with-
or?
Not with Canopio, but
With Canopio, that's my question here.
no, we don't know that for sure. We just know that the Delta variant is here. It was a female in her 20s, another female in her 40s, and another one in her 60s. So those were 3 confirmed cases, but you need to understand that the Delta variant, because it's a different strand, when you test positive, you just test positive for COVID. A medical provider has to request that there be a second
Test for the Delta variant.
determine if
Okay,
it's the
just to
Delta variant.
determine if it's Delta variant. or not.
Correct.
Now, the students here in County, from what age to which age they should be vaccinated?
12 and above. And just to mention a little bit to add to that, right now, all the positive cases that we're getting from staff, all of our vaccinated, and all the kids, all the students who are getting, we're getting the positive reports, all are unvaccinated. So we do something to consider.
I'm sorry, I can hear you good.
So the breakthrough cases are happening at the adult level. So our COVID positive adult cases, most of them are vaccinated.
Okay.
For children who are testing positive, they're mostly the unvaccinated. Here in Canopio, this is a trend that Dr. Fuentes is monitoring.
As of today. Now, every Monday, you can check on the website and I'm posting the number of cases per school that we have.
So you post it and it's accessible for the public, so they can
It's
see the
open,
numbers are
and
increasing.
every
If we're
Monday at
doing
1,
this,
it's already posted.
if we're doing this, is because there's a reason why.
Right. there's a
Right?
reason.
There is because the numbers are increasing because of Delta variant or because of COVID, and we need to control this one way or another.
Well, and what the latest, correct me if I'm wrong, the
Thank you,
latest
Doctor.
statistics are with respect to those people getting infected, it's 90-some%, I think, of those new infections are the Delta variant and those that are unvaccinated. Is that correct?
That's 96.2.
96.2?
That's correct.
Of those
And
people
it's-
get infected are those that are not vaccinated.
And it's worth mentioning that all those vaccinated that we're getting that the ones that are confirmed positive, they're just showing like very mild symptoms. So what I always tell the parents or the staff, you know, it's like, it's like we're in a seatbelt, you know, we protect ourselves, like to go to work, where we're driving, we wear a seatbelt, right?
Right.
Why do we wear a seatbelt? Just in case we have an accident, you know, it's like it protects you from severe injury. It's the same thing with vaccines. It doesn't mean that you're not cannot be exposed and you cannot be contracted with the virus, but it means it's gonna protect you from being hospitalized, dying, or having severe symptoms of the disease. So it's very important to understand that much.
Right. Yeah, and with respect to the mask issue, I'm just saying, you know, I had a economics professor who was very, very sharp. And, you know, he says, take things to their extreme. When you have a question, take things to their extreme and you find your answer. Are people without masks breathing out? Is that more likely that they would spread the virus if they have it? Obviously. You go take it to the other direction. People that wouldn't breathe at all. Okay. Would they be more likely to pass the virus? No. So the mask is in between there, right? So why wouldn't we use that kind of a prevention to stop that? I failed to see the reasoning about not, when we have something as dangerous as
That is concerning about our students' health.
this may not be the only variant we're going to face coming up. Doctors, what other variants are there? Tell us.
Oh, well, there are different ones, but right now we have like the Delta variant, it's right now it's expected. I think the biggest concern is for the variant that we don't know yet.
Right.
We see that the variants continue, the mutation rates continue to increase as more unvaccinated people remain. That's why it's so important to reach that herd immunity. Mutation rates continue to increase with the virus.
And it seems that these variants always start in the east and come out this way, don't they?
Because the density of population and facility.
Right. More dense population at the other side, the other way, right?
We already have a hotspot here in Texas, is Corpus Christi, Kingsville, the lower Rio Grande Valley, Mission, Arlington, Brownsville, coming this way to San Antonio. And right there, they have information that they were up to 7 beds left in their ICU.
Yeah. I mean, it's beyond me where we would take these precautions. And, you know, I think what we as a district should maybe need to do is get with the rest of the districts. We ought to have a meeting so that all of us here in this region are on the same, you know, on the same plan in terms of as a region, because whatever other districts do affects us and what we do affects them. We're not in a bubble here, you know? So to that end, I think who's here for it? We either can have this a meeting at Region 19. I'm asking that this board approve that the superintendent, the board president, and maybe 1 or 2 of the officers from every district have a meeting at Region 19, or through Region 19 probably be the best thing to do it.
Can I recommend to write the letter? And then depending on that, I'm sure y'all could. If Region 19.
Well, those are the steps that I'm talking about, that we first send a letter. I think today we ought, as a board, we ought to mandate that our kids are going to wear masks in the buses.
I would like to hear.
To that effect.
Wait. Okay, I just got a question, and I would like to hear the opinion of our superintendent. What do you think about this, Dr. Galaviz?
You know, and I told the board president, you have a governors go to, it's law, right? It's law. You have federal law, you said it's a gray area. Now we have to, it's easy here to say, to mandate it. Now we have to go execute. Well, what are you gonna do if the kid, if the parent says, my kid's not wearing a mask?
Yeah.
You're gonna say, well, you can't ride the bus? So I just, You know, you have a governor under state law, and now you're putting kids in them, you're putting us in the middle
Yes.
in a political quandary. And I agree with you, right? I like to follow the science, I like to follow, but then now you got a kid that says, I don't have a mask. My parents says, I don't have to wear a mask. And it's just,
So what are we gonna do when this issue comes? Because there will be a lot of parents, that they're not agreeing with this, Dr. Galaviz. And we're gonna have those face masks disposable in every school bus, and then with the kid, you know what, you cannot ride the bus because you're not wearing face masks. Are we gonna hand that one?
The high school right now, guarantee you, parents are saying, my kid has a mask, right, Coach? You got a lot of kids, you're not wearing masks at the high school. So mom and dad may say, they're wearing a mask. As soon as they get there, it's gone.
It's gone, exactly. So,
And so and then if they ride the bus, you can say, well, you can't ride the bus, you're not taking them home over, and now you're fighting a political battle in.
Or do you have the mask bus and the maskless bus? I mean, it's,
Well, right now, we're not talking about requiring them to be masked up when they're at school. We're talking about when they're in an enclosed area, period, in the bus.
They're all.
oh, okay,
Well,
okay. In the classroom as well?
there's a lot more space inside the school than in a bus.
Okay, in the bus, and what about in the classroom, Mr. Shea?
I think what we have to do is, this is my take on it, is that I think the bus poses a bigger risk to our kids because it's
Okay.
a smaller confined area,
Okay, yeah.
really smaller confined area. And it's enclosed.
They have to share seats very close.
I mean, what I think we ought to do is we ought to send a letter exactly like what the mayor and the county judge sent to the governor. And depending on what his response is, come back and we decide what to do. We need, maybe have a meeting with the rest of the school districts so that we all are on. What we don't want to see is one district doing this, the other. And I think we need to, as a region, we need to kind of talk about
Come to an
whether we're
agreement.
going to be in solidarity with respect to fighting this issue or not.
Can we do that before? I mean, I would prefer.
What about Far West Texas?
We're going to meet exactly, that's what I want to leave it for the record. And August the 10th, I won't be able to be here because exactly, we're going to discuss that in the Far West Texas. The decision was taken in July the 8th that we were going to have a meeting. So all the school districts are going to come to the Far West Texas meeting in Region 19. That's when we're going to go with the bond. So I won't be able to be here and vote that day. I did try to talk, and definitely for me to change it, I won't be able because it's the whole school districts from the Far West Texas, just because I cannot be there. So the decision was taken even much before we take the day that was going to be in August the 10th for the bond. So I won't be able, just for the record, I won't be able because staff and administration reached out to me if I was going to be able to attend to the August the 10th. Of course, it's only one vote, one person, which is me. I won't be able.
So with that said, August 10th is an opportunity to have all the Far West, because we have till August 16th to the board to call the election. We can go poll the board on a different day. But again, not knowing that the very end, we're gonna have this discussion. I mean, it's already.
Yeah.
And this was primarily supposed to be about the bond.
The bond, exactly.
Now
So
it's 2 hours into it.
Yeah.
And so, but I go back to the political implications, because I do not want to see our community like I see in Florida. You see in people burning masks, you see, parents out there, I'm unvaccinated and against school boards, and I don't want to see it. Because again, but nor do I, again, as I say, it's easy, Senator, you to say, hey, vote, wear a mask. We're still under the governor's order. Federal, now you have this attorney, I can get 10 different attorneys and then get 10 different opinions on what I should do. And then we have to enforce it and go out there. We will, and I serve at the local board. But again, you asked for my opinion.
And who says, I'm not sending my kid to school if they've got to wear the mask. You know, if you all will notice, I'm not against a mask. I'm the only one who had it on at our last meeting. I'm okay, I like the mask.
My worry will be when the kid is already ready to take this, the bus, and you know what, you cannot come in because you don't have your face mask.
But how do you tell a kid you're not going on the bus today? I'm really sorry.
Exactly.
You're not going.
How? I mean, how are we gonna control that?
We
I
can't.
think the best thing to do is wait till Far West, see if we can be Tuesday.
Yeah,
And
maybe
then
see what,
send a letter.
I think some of this is gonna take care of
The
itself.
problem that if we do it through Far West, council, correct me if I'm wrong, is that gonna violate our open meetings issues?
Well, no, I mean, who's attending? Would it be the full board?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's not gonna work.
From all the other ISDs.
you can't take any action
Right.
at that meeting.
You can make a recommendation.
You could come back. I mean, you could publish notice and say, we're gonna be at the Far West Texas meeting, of course. But for purposes of your school district and taking action on your school district, I would recommend you meet after that meeting to take any action that was maybe discussed at Far West Texas. But yeah, you won't be in violation of the Open Meetings Act. If all of you plan to go, we just publish a notice and make sure that the public, your community members know where you are and that it's accessible to them. If they want to show up
Exactly.
and sit in on the meeting, they can.
What's gonna be the item?
I don't know. I'd have
What
to-
is the item for Far West?
It depends on what, it's going to be discussed.
It depends, they're gonna discuss a lot of
I mean,
things.
you should have had an agenda. What's the
Yeah,
agenda?
the agenda says only the principal and the superintendent from UTEP is gonna come here to talk about the ideas and scholarships from the UTEP and the one from EDCC as well. But we're not touching this point yet. This is brand new, this variant is
Yeah,
new.
so that we wouldn't be able to do it then.
No,
All you're
it's not
talking
in there.
about is
It's not-
college opportunities.
It's college opportunities, but this is not the health issues. They're not addressing that because the agenda was planned in July the 8th.
What, doesn't it say new business or?
No, that's it, those two, that's it.
So it's just a meeting schedule for that.
So what we could, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, what we could do, I could recommend it, knowing that this is an emergency situation, and then maybe call to an assembly meeting for another agenda, maybe next month.
I don't know, board, what do you?
Chair, so right now, the issue with the school bus is highly recommended, right?
Definitely.
That's been mandated by
Yes.
the federal government,
But,
an order from the federal government, right?
and my suggestion would be to write the letter, like you said, to the governor in conjunction with other school boards, other school districts, and hold off on this mandating this wearing the mask on the school bus. Because Dr. Galaviz is right, it's gonna create
A lot.
a hornet's nest, and well, in a sense, the blowback, I don't know how much blowback we'll get. But, and I agree, for the safety of the kids, highly recommended. I would agree with that, but mandating it right now, realizing what he's saying.
No, I understand that the family's gonna get put in, or the children are gonna get put in,
Yeah, and then the kids are the ones that
they're gonna suffer.
they're gonna suffer, kid comes to the door of the bus driver says, you can't get on if you're not gonna wear a mask. Well, that in and of itself is gonna put a kid in a quandary.
Yeah. January 29th of this year, the CDC issued an order requiring face masks to be worn by all people while on public transportation, including school buses.
Not everyone is vaccinated, that's a problem, at home, we don't know.
The thing is, these kids are gonna get put in, if we do the mandate. The other side of the coin is, they're the ones that are gonna get sick.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are gonna get sick and possibly have permanent problems or die.
Mr. Chair, where are you reading that?
You think
Where are you reading that?
the Department of Public Health?
Mr. Chair, I'm okay to open it up to something. I know we have. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I think we need to also wrap it up.
yeah, we need to wrap this up, but we will, I think, I do want to get some, allow, some comment from the community if they so wish. But before we do that, I think that as a board, and what we have to do is, one, we need to send that letter to the governor, to our delegation. And maybe we can get with the rest of the school districts, and have a meeting if Miss Trout from Far West is able to get an agenda item so we can discuss all the districts can discuss this over there and post it. Then if you will do that,
Definitely.
if not, will this board authorize Dr. Galavis and I and the officers to try and orchestrate a meeting with all the districts at Region 19? That way we won't pose an issue with respect to open meetings violations. That way we can certainly go over there and with the rest of the districts to discuss this. Is that something the board?
I would be in favor.
Ms. Mendoza?
Yes.
So is a motion on the floor already?
Ms. Trout?
There's no action
Yes.
for this, is there? We can't.
Discussion.
It's a recommendation.
That's
It does provide for an action item, but we'll take that up at the end. It's the next item.
Certainly, what's your question? I'm sorry. I was reading
I'm just feeling the board out with respect to how we want to proceed.
I would make a motion to authorize legal counsel with the executive officers to come up with a letter to address a more personal approach, local control options in regards to asking other issues.
Yeah, I think we need to basically to summarize what our concerns as a board are that we discussed tonight. Is that what you're talking about, Mr. Rodriguez?
Right.
Okay, is that your motion?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Before we proceed on this item, Mr. Rodriguez, you sit on the TASB board. Are you able to share with us what their position is on this?
So as we just sent out.
What's the position of the Texas Association of School Boards that
Just
over the state?
TASB calls for virtual instruction option flexibility in local COVID-19 safety protocols. As we delivered letters today to Governor Abbott and Commissioner Mike Morath on Thursday asking for flexibility to local school districts as students prepare to return to school on COVID-19 cases rise across the country, across the state. The letter to Abbott asked for his help in providing schools the ability to require masks in district facilities in response to local health conditions and the ability to provide a funded virtual school option for families who want their students to participate in online learning until health conditions improve. The letter to Morath asked the commissioner to use his authority to adjust how student attendance is accounted for students attending school virtually as did during the previous school year, to hold district funding based on attendance levels.
Okay. Are you able to share that with with council so that we can maybe use some of that with respect to wording our letter to the governor?
Yes, I'll forward this. It actually has a letter here.
And I don't know if you have a copy. I think I gave you all a copy of this. Council, you have a copy of the mayor's and county judge's letter?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I have one question. Can you, or
Yes, sir.
council, could you read the motion?
I think it was,
Thank you.
The same, like. pretty
Mr.
much following the
Rodriguez's
same
motion
guidelines.
to authorize legal counsel and
The
board
executive,
officers.
yes.
And Dr. Galavis.
And Dr. Galavis to prepare a board resolution,
A letter.
a letter. Okay. No,
Dr. G is,
he's out.
The next agenda item, I believe, discusses a resolution.
Okay, so, yeah, and so I think maybe if you take up the motion during the next item,
Okay.
that way it's clear to everyone what's happening.
just
here.
call the next item.
Well,
Okay.
before we do that, I know there's some members with the board's permission. I know there's some members of the community that wanted to speak up on this agenda item and
I'm okay with that.
everybody.
Yes, sir.
Are we okay? Okay. Anybody from the community wish to comment?
Yes, I do, Mr. Carnell. Thank you for allowing the public to speak.
Go ahead. You can come up.
I appreciate that a lot. I just want to ask the board, why isn't the board concerned about the children? The reason I ask that, there's 99% survival rate without pre-existing conditions. And also, it's because I'm on campus with my young children in elementary school, and I don't see any problems. It goes back to what Dr. G is talking about. I don't see any parents having an uprising because you can or cannot wear a mask. Everybody's already trying to coexist with each other. And also herd immunity, just like some of us here, most of us, remember when you got the chicken pox, you just missed school. Basically, with herd immunity, you're gonna get sick. 99% survival rate without pre-existing conditions. So kids from 17 on down can get sick and be able to make it. We were all concerned when the COVID came was because if we were gonna die. We know that's not correct. The average rate of a person dying from COVID is 73, 76, and that's including pre-existing conditions. And also that's, and the vaccine, like Dr. Swinton said, is the vaccine is only for you to prevent hospitalizations and dying. You're gonna get sick even if you have the vaccine or not. It's just to help you not to get hospitalized. So, and if the board does go for it, I would suggest an alternate means for parents to educate their kids, invested in online learning. How lucky there.
That is part of what the PASB position is.
Yes, sir, because I don't see any problem. Maybe at other campuses, at my campus, BCE, I haven't, I'm close to the principal. The principal has never said anything that, hey, parents are upset, or parents are upset about no mask, or parents are upset because the kids aren't one. There's not a problem yet. Before the board, in my eyes, makes a problem, they should consider a little bit more information on our kids, because unfortunately, in El Paso, kids from 17 on down, there's only been, I don't mean to say only, but there has been 2 deaths. And that just goes to show you that our kids 17 on down are not at risk of dying. And that's why I asked the board, why are you concerned about our kids having a mask and not wearing a mask when there's not a problem out there? Our parents are taking the risk, and I think we're doing the right thing for our kids. And I don't think we need the board to put a problem out there when one doesn't exist, because you can't tell kids not to go to school on the bus. I agree with you. There should be, but it's just the problem that's not there. And I don't think we should try to keep one. And one more thing, there was yes, about the other variants. There's a Delta Plus and the Lambda variant that's out there. So it is getting dangerous, but I would suggest if you see kids dying, then I will take the extreme measures to push parents to make their kids wear it. But kids 17 on down are not even in their 20s, they're being fully recovered. It's pre-existing conditions that we have to worry about those kids. I know I've been following COVID closely because my son has asthma. So it's very dear to me to make sure that he wasn't going to die, because I didn't know enough information. But I informed myself with the information from the CDC, but other organizations that have independent studies. It's not federal studies. So I would suggest look at independent studies outside of just federal studies, because we're talking about bunch of bad news on COVID. There's good news. Our kids are gonna survive. That should be celebrated. 99% got pre-existing conditions. You know, and that should be celebrated. And there's not a problem. So the school, and even if they do go for masks, please provide another alternative for kids for us to learn. Because the state is already doesn't want to provide funding for that. And our governor, I'm concerned about withhold funding, state funding. I don't know how we can depend on federal funding, but this governor's giving people choice to do what they want on this because of the information. I don't think he's being a jackass, misinformed jackass. I think he's using the information base from the federal and outside studies to make these decisions. And some of the decisions I think are sound. So thank you for taking questions again.
Sure. Thank you for your comment.
Yes, sir. Or was that the last one?
Anybody else?
No.
So I agree wholeheartedly with what Bernardo just said. I think we need to think about some of the consequences that may come to play if we start passing these things. I can tell you as a parent and a parent of students in the district and works for the district, we pass masks again, and I'm going to be looking at a private school for my daughter. Because it affected her far more to wear a mask than not getting sick, like Bernardo just talked about. And it's not just gonna be me. You're gonna have a lot of parents who are gonna be looking at the same thing. Because Keystone, the church that I attend, we have a private school at our church. They didn't wear masks the entire year last year, and they had very little COVID encounters. And it's because our kids are not the super spreaders. So why are they the ones that are having to suffer? We just talked at the beginning of the meeting about how we needed to understand people's different opinions and respect that, and that we should have different ideas and be able to have conversations and be civil with each other and have those disagreements and still be able to come to a common consensus. I'm okay with you guys wearing your masks. I'm okay with you getting your vaccine. It doesn't bother me. But why are you pushing your views on me without the science to prove it? I'm not okay with that. And there's gonna be a lot of parents who are not gonna be okay with that either. If you look at the students who got sick last year compared to the suicide rates that we had last year, that's something that needs to be considered. Our suicide rates went up last year, and that's not out of nowhere. That, to me, is more serious.
I think a second
Because
grade
that is
trying
death.
to jump off the balcony, a second grade. Right, was it a sixth grade? Second grade, trying to jump off the balcony and experience a stop.
So if we're really gonna talk about the well-being of our students, we need to consider it all. Not just what you're concerned about for yourself. You guys can protect yourself the way that you feel is right for yourself. Your health is up to you. But leave that up to each individual parent and person to decide. It shouldn't be your decision. That's my opinion. And I think if we are going to send a letter, you should have a community meeting prior to hear from your entire community. Give them a chance to come and speak. You really want to hear everybody's opinion. I know we have that opportunity tonight, and I thank you for that but not everybody's here because we didn't know we were going to have this opportunity. Let's be honest.
It's on the agenda.
But it's not an open forum agenda item. It's not a public forum where we can come up and speak usually. It does not say that it's public
You
forum.
can speak at open forum on any agenda
No,
item.
open forum, but we can't come up and have discussions like this usually unless it's stated as a public forum, is that correct? Public, how do they?
Comment.
Public comment, thank you.
No, you can.
But there is nothing on this agenda to indicate that we're going to write a mask mandate.
No, that's nothing. It's just discussing the safety.
It just
issues
says
and
protocols.
for the
Yeah.
So our understanding as a community is the protocols that were presented like an open house, the protocols that are in place already, that those were gonna be provided, discussed, things of that sort. But these types of decisions, I feel like your community needs to be involved in them, not just to hear from us, you who are here tonight, but anybody else who wants to come and speak and give their opinion as well.
So the item as an agenda item,
Maybe on the 10th, or whenever.
it's an agenda item, so there's probably to be able to.
So just, thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you again for taking
questions, thank you.
Yes.
We're required to, right, council?
Yes, so it's, school districts, for the school board, as a reminder, to the school board, there was a change in the Open Meetings Act 2 legislative sessions ago. Have open forum, anyone who signs up for open forum can give public comment on anything under the sun, doesn't have to be on the agenda. The change was that anything on your agenda was also open for the public to comment upon. That's public comment. That's different from open forum. Now, public comment is also required. So long as the members of the public that want to speak on an agenda item are given an opportunity either before discussion or before you take action. But they have to follow policy BED local that Ms. Gomez spoke about at the beginning of the meeting in order to speak on an agenda item. So
Right.
it's a little different. It's just 2 opportunities basically to speak.
Thank you, council, for clearing that up. Yeah, we're required to do that, so, but you just need to sign up. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So, anybody else from the public?
I had a question for Dr. G. Were you looking at virtual instruction or just say COVID-19 protocol? And my recommendation on the resolution would be for the letter to the government is to follow the same as Tasby and some of the others, is to allow flexibility that with the recommendation of these top experts, whether it's doctor or son, but to allow that flexibility. I personally don't think as a board making those requirements should be guided by the board. It should be guided by the health professionals. So whether if it's our local, our district health official or the health official of the county, if they were to require, whether it's buses, whether it's whatever, we're asking for that flexibility. Let's say we see a rise in 30%, hopefully not, that we start seeing a rise in death in students, then the health experts and those officials would say, you know what, this is the safety protocols. So that's what I'm requesting on that resolution. But I know there was virtual instruction as an option. And I don't know if you were here, what Tasby just sent out in regards to the attendance in case parents wanted the option to educate their kids virtually to allow my to adjust the attendance.
The issue that we heard today is that they're not allowing us, because it has to be, it cannot be concurrent. In other words, if you three, or if you're at home, the attorney's at home, and I'm the teacher, I can't have our attorney in the classroom if she's at home. It has to be, here's my classroom, let me teach you, and let me teach you. And it has to be synchronous. It has to be 4 hours.
I mean, we could be technical all day, and I'm sure that's what the commission is being technical. That do we want to ask for flexibility?
Well, yeah, we want to ask for flexibility if
the parent wants to, no, if a parent wants to take their kids on a virtual, do we want to ask for that flexibility, or are we just looking at COVID-19?
It depends. As far as the first grade teacher. Oh, you were first grade. But I'm teaching a kid at home without making things.
No, we know. I mean, we know those were issues. That if the parent decides, it's the same thing as the parent deciding whether the kid wants to wear a mask or not. If the parent decides they want to educate their kids virtually, and what we're asking is, okay, that option, then we need that flexibility from Commissioner Moran to allow us to get compensated if that were to be an option. Or do we include that in this one?
No.
You don't want to address that. So right now it's no virtual.
It should be, it's just kids are at home because the state's gonna hold us accountable for the learning. And obviously, a lot of our kids that are virtual didn't test. So a lot of we don't know where they are. That's the first month that we're doing is figuring out where they are when it comes to reading.
So I'm okay with that. What I'm asking you as an administration, do you not want flexibility?
No, I don't want to.
Okay, just on the COVID-19.
It's not like COVID-19. If the kid is at home, allow us that flexibility to teach. We're asynchronous and synchronous. Other than that, we know that computer cannot replace the teaching.
Yeah, but do you want that flexibility of asynchronous or not?
Yes, we want when a child's at home,
Due to COVID.
due to COVID.
Or children only under those conditions would we like them to be able to learn virtually. Then all the other times when they're not in class here,
So,
that we want it back in our classroom.
okay, then you do want flexibility when it comes to,
If you're quarantined,
if you're quarantined because you have.
or you have, or you have.
I guess we can wait for the next item.
Okay. Yeah, this is a very, it's a tough issue. And I understand you're saying, for you and 99%, but I also have to think about that other 1%. In our district, there's over 6,000 students. That's 60 kids. That's not insignificant to me.
You want to follow the science, Mr. Canaro, but you're not following the science. It says kids are safe. Going maskless or maskless, it's up to you. I understand protecting 60 kids. I'm with you.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but the Open Meetings Act does not allow for back and forth discussion with the public. If members of the public have signed up to discuss an agenda item, they're okay to speak for that time allotted, but we can't do this back and forth.
And that's my fault, Council. That is correct. We can't have a back and forth discussion. You're allowed to comment, but that's it.
I apologize.
No problem. But, we as a board this is a really tough decision. We've never been faced with something like this before. I mean, now we have a new variant that's even more contagious than the one last year. I don't know what's going to happen coming up next. I just know that we need to do something about it. Because, I don't want to be the one responsible to say, well, it's only one kid that died. Or 2 or 3 or 60, only 60 that got really sick. That's if it's at 99%. I don't know that I'm willing to take that risk. Ms. Searles.
So the mayor and the county judge wrote a letter, and it's a good letter.
Yeah.
And what it sounds like this board would like to do, and possibly other school districts would like to do from what I'm hearing, is also join in on that letter. But what I'm hearing from our public is totally correct. If our little community wants to join in on these letters, they'd like to read the letter that we're gonna, our join up letter. That, it's directly their kids, their students. It is a community thing. Are we going to do what's been suggested is write our own letter and then bring it back, post it, let the community read it, give some input, and then take direction from there?
I don't know, that's up to the board right now. That's the whole
Because we
discussion.
do have a motion on the floor now to write the letter.
Well, we
In a
can't,
second.
because the action item is next up.
Oh, okay.
Can we call for the next agenda item?
Yeah, are we through with the discussion then? Anybody else? No? Okay. Sonia?
Can I
Yeah.
add one to this?
Sure. Yeah.
One of the things now that, because employees are contracting COVID, could we, not the 10 days, before the board gave us 10 days. Could you give us 5 days? So people don't have to take your sick leave. And then we would have to write a resolution that we can present to you. That's what we did last year.
I think we should take that up as an agenda item for next meeting. But, that's the other thing is, are we gonna allow that for even those people that are not vaccinated? Only those that are vaccinated?
We can't ask. There's a HIPAA law. You can't ask.
Well, those are incentives that we're providing. That's not, that's not a law yet. Is that an incentive, council?
So some of the school districts are looking into incentivizing employees, obviously through some sort of stipend or saying you get emergency paid sick leave. Because you're vaccinated and in the event you get sick, you have those days, to take off fully paid, as an incentive.
Right.
But there is also EEOC guidance that says, okay, you have to kind of be careful here because you have the Americans with Disabilities Act, you have your HIPAA laws, but so long as there is a business necessity to keep your workforce healthy, and you're starting to see some private companies do this, they're saying you must get vaccinated.
A lot of them are.
You must get vaccinated, and if you don't, you can't work here. So I'm not aware of any school districts doing that just yet, because there's reason to pause, I think. But we are looking into the incentives. How do you not mandate a vaccine? You can't, according to the governor's order. But how do you incentivize your employees to participate in the vaccination program so that at the end of the day, you have a healthier workforce? We're looking into those. I know that there's something. Yeah, I think Mando mentioned it earlier as well. I'm starting to get a lot of questions from school districts about that. So certainly it can be posted for another. I know that it somewhat relates to what you're already talking about, Dr. Galavis, but I'd be happy to work with you all on an agenda item and then possibly a board resolution for your consideration to see how you can do that.
Well, not a resolution. That was, for us, that would be.
It'd be a board resolution. I think you did it last time with the board resolution.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just kind of lay out the criteria.
With that incentivizing a vaccine, though, you've got that whole other group of people who aren't going to get any vaccine.
Right.
If there's religious freedom, who that is against their religious
Yeah, absolutely. So those are,
convictions that they don't care. They're not getting any of the vaccines. They don't
yeah,
care
those
what.
are legal considerations.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So that would be for you all to consider, at a future meeting.
Right, but I think.
But
we
yeah,
should-
there's
I think we should
exceptions.
post that at the future meeting in council, if you would do some of the background work on that. I know you're probably going to be working with other districts to do that. So if you will do that, Board, are you guys okay with instructing our council to look into that and put it in a future agenda item with respect to that particular issue? That I think needs to be more specific before we discuss it as an agenda item by itself, right? So to comply with the open meetings. All right. Okay, so I guess we will take that up at a future meeting, and Dr. Galavis and for council, we can certainly, and staff and Martha. I know Martha is interested in that, human resources. So we will certainly get that in the next, for the next meeting, or maybe for the regular board meeting. I don't know if the 10th will be sufficient time, but maybe for the regular board meeting. What do you guys think? Regular board meeting?
The regular board meeting, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's only about two weeks away.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question.
Ms. Searles.
This is, I don't mean to be a killjoy, but Dr. Galavis brought this up earlier. Yeah, you're the killjoy. It's 20 minutes till noon.
Yeah, we'll take that up on the last agenda item. I understand where you're going.
Where I'm going is, I know I'm not on top of my game right now to talk about this. I don't know if this is the best time. We have spent a lot of time, good spent time, not bad spent time, good time on the COVID. It's extremely important right now.
If you wait, when we come up to the agenda item, we can discuss.
Okay,
the issue
thank
of
you.
whether we should proceed or.
Thank you, Mr. Porter. I appreciate it.
Yes, so, all right. Any further discussion on this side? Right, hearing on Sonia, next agenda.
Yes, sir. Item 3B, discussion and recommendation to develop a resolution addressing CISD COVID-19 safety protocols.
Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that we write a letter to the governor with the virtual instruction on classification or whatever Dr. Galavis had talked about. And then the COVID-19 safety protocol for flexibility of both, but in regards to the COVID-19 safety protocol, it would be through the guidance of science, and it would be our local individual or the local health person in regards to those. I personally do not want to make certain guidelines or certain, requirements. I prefer those to go through the science and the people that actually deal with that. And it would be our local person and the city county doctor.
CDC.
Or
City County Health.
Yeah. And so just to ask for that and then sign off with the executive officer, the legal counsel. That would be my.
Okay, and with respect to that, I think that's basically what the letter from TASB Pediatrics, is that we basically follow the science and the advice of our city county health department in conjunction with our district as to what, in other words, to give local control, asking the government to give local control. Not that we ourselves do it, but rather in conjunction with our emergency management director and also our city county health director as to what's best for either our district or our region. So is that basically what? Yeah, that's basically what the other letters are saying. They're maybe not being as specific to all the details, but to me, that's where I think we should request that kind of flexibility and local reporting. So do we have a motion? Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Mrs. Earl, she would like to say.
I have one question.
Yeah, Mr. Earl, you have.
Will it come back to the board before it goes away?
No,
this would be to send it out now.
Yeah, we have a short time in regards to it. We're just asking for them the same letter that the mayor is providing, and we're going to go into the science, not the board deciding if, certain people are going to wear masks or that. That's all through the science within staff and Dr. G. Yeah, and Dr.
So it'll just reflect this letter.
We're asking for.
Well, it's basically going to synthesize this letter and the letter and the points that TASB had put out.
Okay, so nothing radical and new, like everybody has to wear cowboy hats to school or anything, nothing.
No.
Just follow this format.
Give us, in other words,
I understand.
To give us a little more local control in terms of that, but in guidance through our city county health department and our emergency management person.
Okay. I understand. Thank you.
I mean, that would have to be brought up before the board again, as to what we're gonna do when the experts tell us, hey, level one, you guys need to do something about this.
Yeah, all of this is gonna unfold anyhow, no matter what.
And the thing is that we just want to be able to act quicker in order to do that. Because as we know, we're separated from the rest of the state by quite a bit. So what happens here, and we went through that last year.
Stays here.
Yeah, we went through that last year. We were a hot spot and the rest of the state said, oh, forget about you. I don't want that to happen again. Anyways, that's your motion, and we have a second.
Yes.
All right, any further discussion from the board? All right, hearing none. Sonia, please call the board.
Yes, sir. Mr. Coronado.
Yes?
Mrs. Mendoza.
Yes.
Mr. Failan.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mrs. Searles.
Yes.
And Mrs. Stroud.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Thank you, board. Next agenda item, Sonia.
Item number 4, training workshop. 4A, discussion regarding the 2020 facility master plan and the Just for Kids Committee final recommendations for the potential November 2021 bond election.
Okay. Real brief, Dr. Galavis, and I know Ms. Searles had some concerns about going forward on this agenda item because of the time issue we have. Dr. Calaviz, what's your suggestion?
Well, here's my question. Are we going to the Far West on August 10th?
No, because we're gonna have the
No, no.
meeting.
I mean, but we have to August 16th.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I fly out, I have, NSBA delegate assembly on Thursday. If it's
16th.
Wednesday or Monday, I could do.
I mean, do you want us to, I guess,
But you guys posted already,
does
Dr.
does the board want to go to the August 10th Far West?
I think we need to have a conversation about this, so that way we can, and then still have, I say either the 9th or, okay,
I just postponed this till later date.
the 9th or the 11th.
We can, but again, this was a workshop to discuss where we are, also understand it's late. Thank you for the committee members on here.
I have to go to school.
I say-
Are we going to the August 10th?
I'm going
Far
to,
West.
definitely, I
As a
have,
board.
and we're not gonna move it.
No, are we going to address COVID at the August?
I mean, that was a
No.
conversation, so I would recommend we go to the August 10th. And we move the actual action item to the 9th or the 11th. But we have a conversation here, so that way we could get some middle ground between JFK and the board.
I will not be attending the Far West.
Okay, no, that's fine. You don't have to attend.
So what happened, then we're not gonna have the board meeting here
But
to take action for the bond?
no, it would be the, if it's okay, depending, can we move it to the 9th or the 11th?
Oh.
And then.
Even if
whoever
it's
wants to go
posted,
to-
Dr. Galavis, because the community knows that it's posted already for August
No.
the 10th.
No, we haven't posted anything.
Oh, you haven't posted anything yet? Oh, okay, I thought it was
It was
posted.
set, the JFK committee knows it's for the 10th. Again, but again, given COVID and what we've been discussing and going to Far West, and it's gonna be on their agenda, the
Mhm.
Far West
Mhm.
COVID protocol.
No, it's not gonna be COVID protocol, it's gonna be only the,
What is the agenda? Can you show us the agenda?
they haven't sent it to me yet.
Can you ask the chair?
I did already. I sent her an email.
There should be an item to discuss new business.
The new business, and we could put it in the new business.
Why don't you, could you request that tomorrow morning?
I know I did it already as we
You
were
already did?
talking.
Okay.
They haven't sent it to me because they said that the president, she's still working in that and putting together the
My
agenda.
suggestion is that let's set it for the 11th. So this is on the 10th. If we want to set up and we can talk to
Is
Far West, we
everybody okay
can
with the
discuss it and then just come back on the 11th.
Wednesday. It's a Wednesday. August 11th?
Yes.
Yeah.
What about him? Same time? What about the public?
The only agenda item?
Yes.
Is the same time? 5:30, Dr. G?
Yes. So why don't we do this? And again, JFK, thank you for being here. Since if we look at the 11th, I don't want, you want to go through this real quick?
Yeah, I think.
Or do you want to
some time.
do a workshop the 11th and find maybe, and then the 15th?
Sure.
Make the decision.
Yeah,
The 15th is that. Right,
yeah. 15 days
I won't be
No.
here. I'll be in SBA
for
for that.
the 16th will be here. 15th is a Sunday?
I think we're saying the due date.
The 16th is the drop down.
But no, we can't do the 15th. That's a Sunday.
That's the odd day we ought to do it.
So
Sunday at
I
9
said the
o'clock.
9th or the
we ought to make the decision on the 11th, review it and make the decision then.
What about,
You got to the 16th. So you could do the 11th and the 16th. That's a Wednesday and a Monday.
Is the 16th the last day, council?
16th is the drop down.
That's what I'm told. It's your bond council handling that
Yeah.
election. So I'm
Oh.
not entirely sure. But I think
16th
like
is the
16th and 15th is the day.
deadline. Drop down date.
But we're okay with making the decision that day?
Yes, yes, sir.
That's
But if something happens, then
Well, you
Shit,
should,
we don't
know what's gonna happen in the next couple of days. Look at that COVID thing.
I say the 9th and the 11th.
I suggest we do it the week before, just in case, to give us some reading room. What do you guys think?
I say 9th. and
Whatever you
11th.
guys want to do.
I don't want to wait till the last day.
11?
11,
Ninth
I will
and
say the 11.
Yeah, can we do the 11th? Huh?
go through it all,
Go through it and make the
make
decision.
a decision.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can do it.
yeah.
11.
I mean, the decision's gonna take 5 minutes. It's the discussion of this, it's
I'm
gonna.
okay with the capacity of the bond. The question is, I have in regards to priority, the JFK, the middle school. Some of those areas where that's gonna be the,
Are we gonna discuss?
Are we
it
gonna,
now?
I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's
say.
We're gonna wait till 11.
Yeah, we're
Because
gonna-
what
I
happens-
want to
I was gonna say.
postpone until the 11th of August.
So
our next
postpone.
agenda.
You guys wanna discuss this for about 10-15 minutes and then come again on the 11th, just to give, so they can give us a breakdown right now?
Do we need to
I
make
say
a
give
motion
us a
to
breakdown.
postpone this?
Yeah,
Okay,
we've
so I
had
made a
board
motion.
meetings.
I just did.
Oh,
You can
second.
we've had board meetings.
Motion made.
Second. Second.
Hold on, you haven't been running, I'm still not running the meeting, I'm sorry.
I think that's even
Hold on.
third.
First off, do you all want the administration first to give us a breakdown of 15 minutes on this so we can think about what we and what they're hearing to?
I say yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Timing?
Yep, go ahead. 15 minutes, Dr. G.
Well, that's their presentation. about this.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Set up there you go.
If you can go on and on and on, if we're gonna go on and on and on, let's just talk about it now.
Okay. Well, no, let's see how your presentation goes. Everybody,
You got 15 minutes.
everybody, hold your comment, hold your questions, let administration.
Until the
speak for that.
11th, we hold our
Yes.
questions for the
Yes.
11th.
This is-
He's just gonna make his presentation and that's it.
Okay, let's all get on a bus, make sure we have a mask.
Right, now you can start the time.
Ready, start the time?
I got it here.
Don't give me 15 legitimate minutes, not 15 Sonia minutes.
15 metric minutes.
Lord, thank you again. Good, great discussion regarding COVID, very timely and necessary in the sake of kids. But as you know, we convened the Just for Kids Committee. There's a picture of us smiling at the end. We all came together, with parents, community partners, staff. Been at this since May 26th, going through schools, meeting at EMS, CMS, ECP, the high school, looking at different parts where we're looking at the needs. The board issued a facility master plan during COVID, in ADM. We took that plan, and on the second page, it came up to 187.5. In 2020, the facility upgraded for 127 million, with the maintenance tax notes included. 60.5 million for the future needs. As we were going on this journey, meeting with our bond council, meeting with our experts, the developers, developer, talking to community teachers, gathering input. On July 28th, we came back and decided to do 79 million 98.5 million in future needs. For our bond council, we have to separate the maintenance tax note out of the general bond and put it separate. And remember, the maintenance tax notes were due to the computers, the apples, the Kettle connects, excuse me, and LED lighting. Yes, that does the 10 million, we spent the 5.4 in Apple devices, the 1.9 and the 1.4 in LED lighting, that does not add up to 10 million. We're using the extra 1.2 million because we have a August payment, correct? Mr. Kersey?
Yes, August 15th.
August 15th, we have to pay, yeah. Part of the maintenance tax notes, when we went to the board saying that, because that is our M&O side, basically general, that's where we get raises from, that's how we pay everybody, that's how we pay, basically, this is how we pay the bills. Is we told the board, once we go for a bond, we will put this in the bond, so bond our IS. Correct, Mr. Carson?
Yes, sir. Excellent job.
Excellent job. So on July 15th, we went to the board and specifically asked you, showed you the projects back and forth and asked, are we in the ballpark? Board said, yes, we're in the ballpark. I know that some issues about middle school, but again, talking to the experts, the brokers, demographers, and JFK committee, voting, again, not everybody, it's like you, 4-3, 6-1. But again, JFK, we all voted on the projects. On page 4, you see how the committee voted overall.
Yeah.
And with that, cleaned it up. And this was the final projects, which was 98.5 in future needs and 79 million facility upgrades. It's broken down into the, as you see, the red, health and safety, 33.5, 34.9, 3 million, and 7.6 respectively. And I'll let Bruno talk about the site civil improvements. 33.5 is broken, that's where the main fees, if you will. On page 8 gives you, this are like big ticket items, parking lots. As you can see, majority of our campuses, even Reyes needs 5,000. Needs work on the parking lots. Vestibules, access control, badge access. Even that CMS, whoever designed CMS, that secure vestibule, too small for middle school. It's just CMS, I'm sorry, CMS. It's just like a triangle that goes in there. What we want to do is open it up so it's more secure, you have more people go in and out. Educational space, we're going to designate 34.9, again, electrical systems, lighting, exterior doors, windows, HVAC, roofing, plumbing. Again, page 10 gives you the big ticket items, doors, windows, roofing. Yes, CES is getting a new roof. I made sure Bruno he gave me technical terms, and I said CES getting a new roof.
New roof, not just recoated roof,
A new roof.
not just recoated.
So we have to.
Don't answer now, just
You don't answer
remember.
the next question.
No questions.
No questions
Total admin space is 3 million, aesthetic 7.6. Again, behind every aesthetics is like the big ticket item. Yet they don't totally add up to the 7.6, but that is basically what every campus is going to get. And then according to MP, and congratulations, I sent you all, they had 100% on our first report. What is it?
First time ever.
First time ever that the district received 100% on the financials. So again, according to, it will not have a tax increase. And page 15 tells you how we're gonna pay for it, and 187.9. It's a 1.39 current, 0% increase, tax rate 1.39 estimated. As you can see, as the finance, we always has to be determined by TEA.
We got it determined today.
We got it determined today,
Yes, that 0.98 is 0.9824.
9824.
So
What does that mean, Ms. McCarthy?
that means that the tax rate for this year is the 0.9898 cents for the M and O with 36 cents for the INS debt service, bringing our total tax rate to $1.3424. And so for 2023, we know that worst case scenario, the M and O rate will be 98 cents because it won't go up, it's set to go down in compression. So once that goes down, we add in the 41 cents for the bond. Worst case scenario is 139, which is what the tax rate was last year. And what the committee had said is that they would like to maintain the tax. And so instead of having a tax increase in the total tax rate, you'd be back to that $1.39.
So going back to page 5 of the future projects, one of the questions was, and again by a committee member, was let's build a new middle school at AMS. The problem is we're not addressing the growth on the other side according to our demographer and our broker. All that growth is happening on that side. I think Mr. Coronado, you made a comment on location, right? Around AMS last time we talked about it.
Right.
And so the committee felt strong enough to buy land, which is $11 million. It's $4 to $5 a square foot, right? And to build a new middle school to address. It only have 2 middle schools. The new middle school, AMS relocated to the east side of the property, the Enchanted Hills. There's some property there.
North of Trans Mountain.
Yes, sir. And then have CMS. Because granted, having 3 middle schools, a K through 8, when you have, it's just not prudent financially, because now you have, our middle schools are still not at capacity, about 60 to 54%. So again, moving AMS to the other side by near where the growth is, because again, even if we're, again, according to the committee, the demographer, you're gonna build a brand new AMS, give it curb appeal, but we're still losing kids to EPISD. And then, I don't know if you all drove this morning, that traffic on Talbot, whoever designed that, to text that.
Long time ago.
Whoever designed that and not made it a boulevard all the way from, and then you gotta turn this way to go this way. You gotta make sure you're in that right lane, but if you're in the right lane, you gotta go over to your left lane. You know, and then you go down Talbot, it's just, where traffic is just horrible. And then,
So another point of discussion that we had with the developer is that the interest of private schools and charter schools in developing campuses in that area as well.
and so when we met with Mr. Mr. Doug Schwartz, he has a plot of land there in his development. It's the first time that I've been here, a developer has something.
Dr. King, can you repeat the previous comment you're talking about, Bruno?
Yes, about the charter schools.
When we met with the developer, he advised us that there's been also interest from private entities in charter schools in developing campuses in that area.
So that's where the new elementary school would be. Idea is looking at that land. And so that, again, we don't need a new elementary there now, but we will in 5 to 8 years. Because as you can see, and also what he told us is Hunt is buying there, and what's that other campus? Monday? Yeah, 2 minutes. There's another developer buying by Davenport. It's gonna bring in more houses.
Okay.
So all of that, then we have, Mr. Paya, who's on the planning commission from Lincoln. They're also, we all just approved some big development there. So it's gonna get full, Davenport in time, is all that's going that way. So, but the reason, but there is a condition, it's kind of like it's conditional of it. That the committee said, the JFK committee said, yes, we'll let you use or go get land, we approve, overall, get land, build middle school, that's great. But what are you gonna do with AMS? And so it's like, well, put Lone Star in central office there. And see, to us as administration, it made sense. And then we can give the new gym to CES.
There we go.
And in that way, you don't have to build a multi-purpose room for CES.
Go from 5 to 4.
And so that's where it goes from 5 to 4. And that was their,
That's it.
right? Bernardo Inspires. Is move Lone Star or Dr. Ray's operation into AMS.
With refrigerated air.
And so again, that was, if you build a middle school, then it's like a chess piece, that piece there. And we felt that was fair, making sure that we use AMS. That way central office stays in the middle of the field. And again, we don't have to buy extra land if this goes through with whoever wants to buy.
All right.
Much time left?
1 minute.
Maybe what you're gonna repeat and say it again. Yeah, right, Dr. G, just for, because maybe it's gonna be new community members. They can listen to, I guess.
So that was the gist.
Now, a question, Mr. Chair, is this the recommendation?
Hold on.
That is true, we can make any questions, that is true.
Are you
Yes,
guys done?
yes, yeah,
Got it?
that's it.
Okay.
No, we wait, that is true, I forget about that, those
Yeah.
15 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody want to hold off on the
Yes,
comments
yes,
and
yes,
questions
yes.
until the next meeting? Well, at least we know when we have the presentation. So get your questions ready for the next meeting. We're going to have it on the 11th. Is that right?
The only agenda item.
Yes. Only agenda item.
And we could call ahead of time and maybe throw up some questions.
Yeah, you can always have questions out to staff.
Yeah, because maybe they're easy answers.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Sure.
Is that okay with you, Dr. G?
Oh, that's fine.
Okay.
I said the only item.
All right. Okay, Ms. Trout,
Yes.
you will let Sonia know to let us,
Yes,
to let us
tomorrow.
know about Far West?
Yes, I just sent a couple of emails, yes, sir. I just,
Okay.
as we're speaking, we sent already some couple of emails, expecting some answers tomorrow morning. As soon as they have it,
All right.
immediately contact Sonia, so they can let you know, yeah,
Okay.
all of you.
All right. Okay, everybody, thank you very much.
Adjournment?
Yes, we are
Very
not,
much.
we're not gonna take
Yes.
any action on this tonight.
No.
We're going to postpone this to the 11th.
To 11.
Is that the board's desire?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay,
5:30.
11th at 5:30.
5:30.
Time is 9:01.
Thank you, staff, everybody, for, and the public, the community for coming out. We really appreciate your comments. Administration, we wish you luck in starting the rest of the school year with what's going on. Thank you guys for your work. Everybody, next agenda, Sonia.
Item adjournment.
By unanimous consent of the board, we are adjourned.